Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle, the Sunday show. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. And life is good right now as we sit around the circle, Gary. We just talking about this. We are looking from the top peak, the top perch, looking down at the carnage below us. And interesting, Liverpool lost to City. We could have wanted Liverpool to take something from that game. United losing today against Newcastle. Chelsea losing yesterday against Aston Villa, and numerous other things going on. But one constant in this season, Gary, is it's not boring, right? But Arsenal keep getting those wins, keep getting W's.
Yep. I just been asking for 3 points. I do ask for a lot more after that, but I do ask. Give me the bare minimum is 3 points, and we've been doing that. So, and they haven't actually been these. There have been roller coasters, but not as much, not as much as we've had in the past. So, we don't seem like we're not struggling as much. We know how we're going to play. The other teams need to try to stop us, and sometimes they slow us down, but they never stop us, which has been good.
Yeah, listen, even as you said, some of them have been roller coasters. They've been wins at the end of the day. Looking back at this list here of last month. Everton 4-0 win. Bournemouth was a real roller coaster. One we'll probably hopefully look back at the end of the season with fond memories of Reece Nelson chipping in. At Fulham, Trossard was the assist king at Fulham, with Martinelli scoring a couple of goals there. Crystal Palace and now Leeds, a couple of 4-1 wins, and this thing is starting to really work now, Gary.
Yep. Well, as we've, this has been years where we what is our style of play, and now we know what it is, and we know what it looks like and who can fit the holes. So it's been good. I see a couple people have joined us. Arsenal Forward Forever is in the house. Welcome. BX Gunner has just joined us. Welcome to the show. As you can see, Stan will be with us soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Arsenal Forever. Craig was here first. He left a comment. Unfortunately, YouTube wipes the comments after a certain amount of hours. But basically, he asked everybody to hit the like, subscribe if you're new here. And thank you for that, Craig. Craig said, we're getting closer to number 14 league titles. It's ours to lose, isn't it? Yeah. And Gary, Gary says, hello, everyone. Come on, you Gunners. Welcome to the show. You specifically, Gary, have told me we need to win every game up until Man City. And I had some pause for concern about Anfield, but I'm starting to feel more and more confident about that one.
Yeah.
But we would like to keep winning games. This is what City have been doing to other teams throughout the years, piling win after win, making it pretty difficult for City right now with 7 wins in a row here.
Yep. No, I mean, if you looked at this, you looked at the schedule at the beginning of the season, and you see how we're going to end with our last 10 matches being against, having Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Newcastle, even Brighton and West Ham to some degree, thinking, they're not going to be easy walkover games, not necessarily walkover, but they're going to be tough games that we're going to have to win to see this thing out and hold on to top 4. Now we're past that now, right? We're let's just hold on and get the top spot. All right. So yeah, no, and as you saw, I don't believe when we played City, if you look at the City match that we played against them and then the Liverpool match that just happened on Saturday, we're not that same team, Yes, they were without Haaland, but I don't think if we had if we were close to 100% in terms of our players,
yeah,
would have played hopefully a much better game. I don't think we are 2 goal. You can lose to them by 2 goals. I think we're much better than that. We can score. We can keep up the scoring with them as we have all season. I mean, we are, I think, 2 goals behind them in terms of scoring right now, and tied with them with the defense. So we're basically a mirror image of each other. I don't think they've had as many injuries as we've had to deal with in terms of top players that they've needed. They haven't got into the January window thinking we need to fill a hole like we have. So we've it hasn't been an easy ride. All right, this hasn't been an easy one for us.
No, and we've had what I'm starting to call Hydra. We've had the Hydra, the triple threat throughout the season. We had Gabriel Jesus to start the season up front for us, our number 9. He got injured, and listen, I watched the YouTube video last night because Jesus did score. I don't know if you saw that, Gary, but
I have not seen. This is the recovery
the
one.
recovery gets stronger, making me stronger, or something like that, Gabriel Jesus. But interesting, there was a couple of things to take from that. But we had Jesus, we had the injury before the World Cup. Welcome, Stan. And then we had Eddie Nketiah doing his part. We know our squad players, you can ask them to do a few games. Rob Holding, Elneny, maybe, and Nketiah do a few games for us, score a few goals. And I'm reminded Eddie Nketiah scoring on my birthday. So he made me happy for that Man United game. And then more recently, we've had Trossard, a player that we've been touting even before he came here. But we could not have imagined how good Trossard could be or has been for us. He's just seemed to gone up to another level, Leandro Trossard. Much to the extent that Bukayo Saka could sit out 60 minutes and not start yesterday's game. And it wasn't seamless. We had a couple of moments, but we got down to business. And I think after international breaks, it's sometimes tough to do that. But question here, I'll go to Stan with this one for his intro. Question from Craig. Who starts against Liverpool next week out of Martinelli, Jesus, Trossard, Saka? It's a great option to have. And you're
muted. We can't
hear you. You're not muted, but we can't hear you. So maybe it's just a connection thing.
Okay, Tony.
It's not that kind of podcast.
I know exactly.
How's that?
Still can't hear you.
Yeah, much better, Stan.
Except for the little sneak peek there. I mean, I know you're getting ready for your OnlyFans channel, but that was just not a. You didn't have to go there just yet. It is Sunday, man.
Is that what you're selling on your Etsy shop as well?
My OnlyFans is going very well. Subscriptions are available.
But and they're going to peak now. Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it doesn't. It doesn't really matter for me, and the reason why is because you always still need to have something that's on the bench that can come on, and not just be a body to take up space, but someone that can come on and actually be productive. And if you look at all of those players, they're all capable of that. So I think we're lucky that we have the variety. It doesn't matter which 3 that you start and who you leave on the bench, because they can still come on and cause damage. And I think that's a great position to be in.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You can even put Jesus on the right hand side and rest Saka if you needed to. There's so much variation and combination in that 4. I think it's a fantastic position to be in.
Put your manager's hat on, Stan. Who are you picking?
I was going to say when I talk of rotation, it looks like that.
Yeah.
Right. As Stan says, it doesn't really matter what we do. Any one of those 3 can sit, and guess what? We still have a potent attack.
Okay.
No dip.
Definitely.
If I had to really choose one, though, I think the one that I would have sitting would be Trossard, and that's only for the reason that depending on where the game's going, he can come on and take up the place of any one of the other 3. If something happens to one of them, or one of them's looking a little bit off, on that particular day, he can slot right in.
Yeah, it does seem that Saka and Martinelli, Gary anchors the wings for us as first choice. Martinelli, Saka, and then it's a question of Jesus, Trossard. And as Stan said on Thursday night, I think it can be a double-edged sword.
What do you mean by that?
Start with Jesus, bring Trossard on, or do the
double-edged sword. I look at that as I'm feeling that in the negative in terms of you damn if you do, damn if you don't. But it's not that. It's actually it's a good decision to have.
Yeah.
And even if we don't start, even if Trossard starts just like we did on the weekend, right? We move players around and they play in different positions. I mean, at one point in the game yesterday, Martinelli was on the right-hand side and Jesus was on the left. I think Trossard was actually on the left. So that's the beauty of the way that we play, is that players, I think the only player that doesn't rotate and switch space as much as Saka. He's, but when we can interchange positions really easily, when we have Trossard there, I don't think Saka does that as often. I just haven't seen it that much, because I think we're solid in our positioning. Then we don't need to switch up and open things up, because it was a little bit different with Trossard there, and so that's why they probably interchanged a little bit more. At least that's what I saw yesterday. But yeah, no, it's a good problem to have. Like to have that all over the pitch, but you take it when you get it, because it's really hard to bring those type of players and have them all ready to go.
Yeah, we're definitely get to that point where Bukayo Saka can not play or start the game, and we still look like the same team, albeit it took us about 30 minutes. Similar to the Crystal Palace game, though. BX Gunner, good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome. Yeah, listen, it's good to be Arsenal supporting right now, and hopefully we're at the beginning of a sustainable cycle that we can see this next year. We can be competitive next year. We can be competitive the year after that, and we start to pad out the squad with much more depth as well. I think to do all of everything we've done in the league this year, and we know there's areas in which we can improve. We know there's players in which we can improve upon, and there's room there to grow and to get better. And, Mikel Arteta talked about the 5 stages. He says we're at stage 3 out of 5, and 3 has to be where you're competing for something, where we are right now. 4 has got to be maybe going into Europe. And then 5 is sort of a sustained number of years in which Bukayo Saka can realize his potential at Arsenal, win trophies. Martinelli, Ødegaard, all of these players that have joined. And at least, Gary, how do you see the stage 3 to 5?
Yeah, I don't know the stages, because
Make something up.
For me, it was always started with, can we please just figure out our starting 11?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can build from there. We've got that, and we're building the depth. So we're still not. I don't think we're there with the depth yet. So I don't know what the stages are in regard. I guess in terms of the team performance, and that's what it sounds like. You want to be able to win at home, and then you want to be able to finish maybe top 4, compete for the Premier League, challenge in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the Champions League just yet, because right now I think our depth is still an issue.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think we can go to these cup tournaments and compete the same way we want to. I'm not sure anybody can, but I think you you have to learn how to do it with whatever players you put out there, and I think that's maybe a learning. It's a learning curve for Arteta to figure out how to go to his bench and still get a performance. That can garner you maybe a chance to win, as opposed to just be happy with the result and then go, but we can't build on it. So that's kind of how I feel about that. So I don't know about the stages that you're talking about. I wasn't familiar with that, but we are competing for, I think competing for a Premier League comes after finishing top 4, and we're kind of doing both at the same time. Mm-hmm. So we are a little ahead of the curve, but why not just go ahead and get the trophy out of the way on your way to competing for European championships as well.
I chuckle because every time I hear when somebody says the phrase "why not," I think about why not. Where are you? Why not? It's good. It's okay. The war is over. Why not? You can come out of the long grass. Stan, what are your thoughts on stage 1 to 5? And we're at 3 right now, apparently.
What do you mean?
Mikel Arteta said recently in a recent interview, we're at stage 3 of 5 in terms of the ultimate 5-point plan. The first 2 had to have been, get in, get things sorted out structure-wise, and develop the young players. And he has said many times we're ahead of where we need to be right now. But there is another 2 stages in the project.
It's hard to comment unless we know what the plan is. If that makes sense.
He won't tell us the plan. You know that, right?
We know that there are 5 stages. You know, is that like the 7 stages of madness? I mean, 5 stages, but what are those stages? He says that we're ahead. I mean, that sounds like good news, but it would be good to actually know what the 5 steps are.
Yeah. To get, I would imagine, is to win something, to get into Europe, to be competitive in Europe. Arsene Wenger famously said, all you can do is compete. You can't guarantee trophies.
Yeah, he can't. He says that, but then he's like not looking really at winning cup trophies the way he's, at least for me, the way that the team is set up and the mindset of the players when they come out. It doesn't look like the same team when we go to a Premier League match. In a Premier League match, the team looks confident that no matter what happens, they're going to get a result. When we play in a cup match, they don't look, that confidence doesn't look there. And it doesn't. I don't think that has anything to do with the fact that we're bringing in some of our bench players. They all should be confident because he's going to say that they're all 22, 25 players are part of this process, and they're all building to getting us to where we are. So if that's the case, then when they come on the pitch, they should have the same confidence that they can get the job done, regardless of the fact that they haven't played in a month or who they're playing with. So for me, that's where it's still we are still a work in progress in that sense.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you on that. We have a squad of whatever it is, 25 players, and you have to have unity within the squad. You have to tell them that you believe in them. But there's always 2 or 3 players that are going to be improved upon every window, hopefully, at least 1 or 2 positions. Now, the other part of that is, do I want to go to a final of the Europa League and lose it? Do I want to lose the league by 2 points? I'd rather, if we can't do both, I'd rather have all of my resources in one. So, Stan, what are your thoughts as well on that? I would rather, the players do know the Premier League is the goal, right?
Yeah, we need to have more, like the question that you posed earlier about who should sit out of the 4, and we were like, well, it doesn't really matter because we've got, they're all of quality, and we need that to go further into the team, in the depth, in the midfielders areas as well, and also in the defense, so that if you get a situation where, for example, a Saliba's out, you don't have the chatter about the guy that's coming in holding, is he going to be okay for X amount of games? And if it's more than 2 games, then we're going to suffer. And sort of all of the chat that you hear about a Rob Holding, it needs to be another player that's of a quality of, say, a Trossard. It's like, we've got 25 players and they could all play in the starting 11, but we can only pick 11 from that 25. So we have to pick wisely. And you've got the people that are on the outskirts chomping at the bit. They're kind of first team players as well, because rotation shouldn't mean you've got an A team and a B team. And when you rotate, you're putting in a B team. It needs to be some more of the same.
Similar.
So that you can
similar level.
You have an opportunity then to be successful in more than just one competition, because you're still fielding a team that has strength to it. Similar to look at Man City. They said that Man City's got about 3 teams in their squad. Well, if we were making the same comparison, I would say that Arsenal's probably got 1.5.
Yeah,
we haven't even got two full teams yet that are of a similar quality, and maybe these are part of the stage 4 and 5. Maybe this is what part of the stage plan that Arteta's talking about.
And maybe this says something about Liverpool that City can not have Haaland in their lineup and still win 4-1, but that's what we kind of need, Stan.
Exactly. I mean, we're going strong in the Premier League, but if we were in all 4 competitions, how far are you going to get? Is one going to suffer because of another competition? I mean, you only have to look at the game that's coming up with Man City. I believe we play 3 games and then we face City. They have to play 5. They've got an FA Cup in there and a Champions League in there, which is going to be to our benefit. But at some point, we're going to be in that same position that City are in, where we're going to be trying to, battle for more than just one competition. Therefore, a stronger squad is what's needed in the depth, so that when we have to talk about who's going to sit in the defence, who we're going to sit in the midfield, we can talk about it in the same breath like we did with the forwards.
Yeah, that's got to be the way going forward next season. Add a few pieces, and we have to be competitive in the Premier League. because that's going to be our bread and butter. That's going to rubber stamp a ticket to the Champions League each and every year. And we also have to try and be competitive in the Champions League. Face Bayern Munich, face City again, face Barcelona, face PSG, Real Madrid, the real heavyweights in the game. Welcome, Alonso. Going to get to you in just a second here. Craig said Trossard, 7 assists in 6 games. Riddy's here. Evening all. We go to war on Sunday. Siege at Anfield. Sack the castle, says BX. Mr. Thomas does give congratulations. Must be noted on our win. So he never wants to speak of it again, except for the next 80 minutes or so. We're down to single figures in terms of games. Squeaky bum time, I think. You have to love Tom, who complains all about the abuse he gets, yet keeps coming back like a broken hooker. LOL. Big up, Tom. And we are behind you all the way from here on out now, Tom. We've had a ton of 3-4 goal displays. Yeah. The goals are firing in, Alonso. What do you think?
Yeah. And it's pretty remarkable because we're getting goals from elsewhere. It's just not Jesus. It's just not, Nketiah. It's not Xhaka, Martinelli. You're getting goals from your right back and midfield, like Gabriel Xhaka and Ben White yesterday. So I think in the beginning of the year, before we signed Jesus and all that, that was like our biggest fear, right? Because we had no natural goal scorer. We didn't have a lot of goal scoring before this year rather. And so to accumulate all these things means we're creating chances for everyone else, and people are getting more forward, and that's pretty cool because that's been a weakness for the past 2 years, finishing 8th and 5th. So, the goals are coming in finally, and I think that's what Tony was talking about. It was like, goal differential this late in the season, and we're backing them in. And, City, we all know how good Haaland is, and Grealish, and Foden. But now we have our own dynamic players like Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, for some part, Nketiah, Odegaard. And now, the goalkeeper himself, Gabriel Jesus. So, they're coming all over the place, which is always a good thing. Even our center backs also can score too. So, it's about time, I guess,
Yeah, we're in a situation where Haaland has almost scored half of Man City's goals at this point in time. Gary, we at Arsenal, we knew it was only going to work if we would get a lot of players into the 10-goal club. And now we've got Odegaard in there, Saka's in there, Martinelli's in there. Soon to be maybe Gabriel Jesus adding a few more goals to his 7 right now.
Yeah, no, definitely 10 goals is good, but also that the 10 goal contributions is also another thing that we were looking at as well. So you got Xhaka to that count as well. So we're looking, when Xhaka's doing that means everybody in the front, our front 4 players, the combination, that's 6 plays total, all contributing and giving us a lot. So we'll take that. I'd like to say hello to everybody who joined since we've been on. Arsenal Misfit joined us. I think Riddy, Alonso, of course, Mr. Tom.
Sam Greenwood.
Guna Glenn is in the house. Mr. Bundle has joined us. And I think that's Don One just joined us as well. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Yeah. Big up, everyone. Life is good right now as an Arsenal fan. Dan, we were talking about this as well. Could Jesus get another 5 goals in the 10 games? On the way to maybe 10 goals, he got 2 yesterday.
Well, we mentioned this on the last show, didn't we? I posed the question that with 10 games to go, did we think that Gabriel Jesus could get at least 5? And I said, surely there's a couple of games where he maybe will bag a brace, right? And he got 2 yesterday. So he's only got 3 more to go for that little mini target that we set. And I'd like to think that he's going to surpass that looking at yesterday. But I mean, just looking at the league table, there's only a goal difference now of 2 goals between us and Man City. And it sounds mad to think that that's the case when you think of all those hat-tricks that Haaland was banging in at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
It seemed like when it came to goal difference, there were miles ahead of us, but it's literally two goals. And again, I think that has to be a testament to the way that our squad is playing. And I watched that City game yesterday on the match of the day. And even my missus said, so even without Haaland, they're still able to bang in loads of goals. I said, yeah, but they play slightly differently without him. And you saw that yesterday. It kind of looked a little bit like the City of old, didn't it? With a variety of goals coming in.
Yeah.
Whereas when Haaland's in the team, you know, they're still going to get goals, but it's all channeled through him. You know?
Yeah.
And there were rumours, I think, wasn't there rumours that Haaland wasn't even a Pep buy? It was a club buy. You know, the club sort of sanctioned it and made sure that that move happened. And it was quite telling yesterday to see that them banging in, you know, 4 goals without Haaland. So our job isn't done yet. We can't take our eye off the ball just yet, because there's still firepower in our biggest rival for this season. A lot of it.
Yeah, and look, the narrative can be, but it's not quite true, that City have been adapting to Haaland. The narrative can be that Arsenal are winning this because, or leading this right now because City are struggling trying to adapt Haaland. But we have gotten to this point because of us. We've won 23 games this season, you know, because of
and
us.
Something I'd like to point out that
I
pointed out a lot. We've been doing it since day one. This isn't a case where we were in 5th and then there's a few matches and we managed to then creep up into 4th place, you know, and then now we've managed to get into 1st place and we're only a point ahead of the team behind us. We've been sitting pretty since day one. That has to bode confidence in not only the players, but the support as well, that we are onto something. You know, we've been sitting at the top of the table looking at everybody below us since day one. And that should not be, you know, that shouldn't be forgotten.
And there have been weekends where City have gone first, won their game, and the gauntlet has been thrown down Arsenal to get the win. Yeah, to react to that. Man United fans were singing "We Want 7" yesterday. Says Craig. Start Saka in place of Martinelli. Bring him on after Liverpool's defense is tired later. Imagine Martinelli coming on with, you know, the likes of Van Dijk and Trent tiring. You know, it is embarrassing considering we play them next weekend. A draw would have been okay yesterday. Yeah. Can you imagine how shell-shocked Trent would be if Trossard starts at left 8 instead of Xhaka? He couldn't handle Martinelli by himself. With Trossard, he would have no idea who to cover. And, you know, this is why we can feel confident on the back of 7 wins, Alonso, going to Anfield on Sunday.
Yeah, I think, you know, beating Liverpool whenever they're down and out and feeling sorry for themselves would be awesome, because, you know, Anfield's always been a tough place to play. And with them being able to just, you know, come down on Liverpool the way we feel they can, it would be quite remarkable, because, you know, we're in a title race and Liverpool have just been out of it the whole year. So it seems like, so, you know, they're trying to incorporate these new signings like Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo, and they really haven't been consistent the way their fans have hoped. So, you know, I think Arsenal should capitalize on that and just use the way they beat us in the past as motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even though Liverpool are not playing that good this year, they're always a threat, especially at their place. So, you know, it'd be an extra incentive if we do that as title contenders this year and the future as well.
Yeah, exactly. Good points, Alonso. I'll use that for the next round, going around here as well. Mr. Tom said, I'll be rooting for Arsenal at Anfield. We need to join a unique group. Not many teams have won at Liverpool, and Leeds did win up there. Gary, to Alonso's point, going to Liverpool and turning a record over that we haven't beaten them in probably over 10 years. I think the last time Arteta played was when we won up there. This is the next test for Arsenal. To go to intimidating, the 3 most intimidating stadiums: Newcastle, the Etihad, and Liverpool. and to get a positive result.
Yeah, I've said this a couple of times, and maybe I guess it sounded a little bit arrogant or a little too confident, but I just been watching. We've all been watching this squad now. What we are 29 matches in now.
Yeah.
Going to Anfield isn't going to be like it was in the past. Not if the team comes out the way they've done time and time again this season. We play much better on the road. So we're one of the top. We're actually the top team on the road right now in terms of the way that we were playing. So I kind of feel like that means this game. If we look at it as Anfield of old, then we're in trouble because then we've lost before we even stepped on the pitch. But if we take what we've done for the last 29 matches and use that as our basis for why going into this match things should be a lot different for us. I think mentally, this is a mental thing. Going to Anfield and struggling there is a mental thing that if we go back to the old times, we're going to struggle. But this team has been tested over and over and over again, and most of the time they've actually come through. So I kind of feel like that's the way this needs to work. This is the way to go into this match. It's another one on the road, tough team. They have shown that they can give up goals. They can show that they can compete for a bit, but we got to play for 90 minutes. And that's where I'm going with it. Like I'm going by what I see today, not what happened over the last 20, 30 years. Because if we do that, then yeah, it's going to be a struggle. But if this team looks at what they've been doing all year, it's just another game, right? It's just another match. But we know it isn't. But it's just another one on the way to get to where we want to go, which is to get that trophy at the end of the day. So they need to come out and play the way they've done all season. They've beaten this team that some will say it was fluky and we got calls our way against it, but that was what happens in the big games. If you think about it, that's what happens in these games. I mean, Liverpool probably could have gone up maybe 2 in that game, and City could have gone up 2 in the first half of that game if you looked at it. So it could have gone either way. But yeah, no, I'm not looking at it as Anfield has got this jinx on us and voodoo on us, and we're going to struggle. We have to play the way we've been doing all season. It can't be, well, we're going to let everything outside of football be the cause, right? In this case, we're talking about a history that some of these players don't even know because they weren't playing in a lot of those games, right? So why should that matter to them? It shouldn't. And that's it's that blind youth that you have that doesn't know that things are worse than they can be because they haven't experienced it, right? So just go out there and play your football. Arteta, go out there and coach this game like you have the other ones when you feel confident, and that's the key, confidence that what we've been doing before will work again, because I don't think anything we've done we have to do anything new.
It's got to be confidence with respect, confidence with no fear, and confidence and respecting the team that Liverpool are, but also not fearing them. And I don't believe any of our team fear them at all. Now that could be because we're good. We have young, really good.
I don't think we've been disrespecting any teams. We may have been giving them. We may have taken our foot off of the gas, or our attention has not been we haven't been as focused as we needed to be going into these matches. But I don't think we've been disrespecting it. More likely, that's been happening more in the way that we've played in the cup matches. Has been probably disrespect. We disrespected those challenges more than in the Premier League. In the Premier League, we come out ready to go most times.
And maybe we can open up on this a little bit more on Thursday night, but I also feel like it's a two-way. We don't want to get bogged down in this because maybe we differ a little bit on this one. It's a two-way street. Arteta's got to trust his squad, but they also have to perform when they're put out there as well. And like I said, just something to think about.
That's why I'm saying there's nothing that they have to do any different. What if you're looking at this squad right now, you're 8 points right now today, maybe coming on Saturday, you're 5. But you've been in this situation before. You've actually been behind City at one point in the season, right? So nothing has to change. You don't have to do anything drastic. This isn't a false 9 type situation or a Saka or a Xhaka playing left back kind of thing. You don't need to do that because we're playing pretty sound football no matter what we do. So nothing drastic is required
I'll
to get us where we want to be.
definitely agree with that. I also love the comment that you had there, Gary, about we have a focus. The young players are creating their own history, and it's personified by Ben White. When an interviewer asks him, he's a question that could be like a trap question, could create some sort of a headline or controversy. Ben White gives the most normal answer that doesn't spark any kind of controversy at all. I think we love that about Ben White, that he actually doesn't like football. He doesn't watch football, but he does the job. That
You know what? He has a look on his face, like a little, like, you just look at his face and you're like, I can imagine other teams just wanting to just punch him because he's just, it looks like he's laughing at you, but he's
shithousery.
not.
He's got to be a master of shithousery, Gary. You know what I mean? I just love that about
No, for
Ben
sure,
White.
for sure. Yeah.
Could Brendan Rodgers be heading to Tottenham? He has been sacked this morning by Leicester.
Why not? He should be on the list. Everybody else is, right? If you've been let go or if you don't have a job, you should be on that list no matter what. I mean,
yeah. What do you think, Stan? Brendan Rodgers, should he end up at Tottenham? Will he end up at Tottenham? Possibly. He may be attainable for them.
They're going to go for a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to say no. They're not going to get the person that's going to be their first choice.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make do. They're going to have to compromise and make do, because I don't think it's a place that people are like, oh, yeah, I'd like to get in there.
Yeah.
Conte's already told any new manager what to expect, and that's more of the same.
Yeah. Exactly. Sam said Trossard is a lot more productive than Martinelli with his final ball. Martinelli is still making too many poor decisions, but I think of late we're starting to help Martinelli with more connections. We didn't see that last season, but now that circuit board that is Martinelli is getting Zinchenko. Whether you like it or not, Granit Xhaka, Jesus is there to help Martinelli as well. Rest in peace, David Rocky Rocastle. 22 years since the passing of Rocky Rocastle. What a legend, what a player. Rest in peace.
And what a smile. What a smile he had, huh?
Yeah.
Very infectious smile. Very, very
he had that tenacity to win games. He had a little bit about him as well. Skill levels. He could have been a Brazilian. He could have been a Brazilian international. And Bukayo Saka is wearing his shirt with pride and doing great things with it as well. Rest in peace, Rocky Rocastle. Also, Trossard has an excellent scoring record at Anfield. Hopefully, he pops up as well.
With that in mind, Saka and Trossard are giant killers. They show up at the big games, even for Brighton. Yeah. I mean, Trossard's most of his goals were against the big teams, not against the little teams. So that's why it doesn't matter who we play. Who we play. Like if Trossard comes off the bench, he'll be comfortable trying to get something. If he starts, then Martinelli will have that hunger to come in and show Arteta that he's got it, right? So, and Saka probably isn't going to sit. So, it's more Martinelli, Trossard, or Jesus who will sit since one player has to sit out of those four.
Great comment here from Reddy. Rest in peace, Rocky. Would love for us to win 2-0 at Anfield to emulate, I guess, 1989. That would be another perfect tribute to him as well. Liverpool fans have not forgotten about 89, that's for sure. Ray Gary Stan, what's cooking? Big up, Mr. Bungo. Alonso just popped out to take in a Martin Truex interview, and maybe he may be back.
Of course he did.
Man, he loves that man.
Yeah, he advocates for him as well. He wants better for his team.
I hear that he's got a Martin Truex lunchbox.
To be confirmed.
He's got the bed sheets and everything, and the cereal. He starts his day with Truex cereal, with the bowl and the spoon, and he's got the racing car bed. He has to, right?
Got it.
He's just got everything. You just go in there. It's just a throne. It's a
Alonso. I hope you come back to us. Who was that right back who was an Arsenal fan? He played for Arsenal. He was the biggest Arsenal fan. He played right back for Arsenal recently, in the recent past, and he had his bedroom all kitted out in Arsenal as well. I forget who his name was, but the people in the chat box will tell me. Mr. Thomas back to hating football. Hopefully you get a result against Nottingham Forest, and I think Crystal Palace will start. Jenkinson. There you go. Thanks, Stephen. Don Juan as well. And Stan. I have Napoli versus Milan in the background. Okay. Ozyman. Are we scouting Ozyman? Maybe. I told you Arsenal would Kenya, Mr. Tom. Listen, Mr. Tom fought the good fight. He stood behind his team, even knowing what would happen, and here he is. He's still here. Mr. Tom is still here. So big up yourself, Mr. Tom. There is a Kahoot quiz a little bit later. Mr. Bungle, tell me the team ranked first would beat the team ranked 14. Keep that up. I'll ask you to pick my lot of numbers next week. Glad that Saka got a decent rest. Yeah. Stan, was a little bit of an illness going around. I think Ben White was affected. I think Ben White revealed in an interview he had been sitting on the toilet for most of the morning, but was able to play.
Oh, yeah? Didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, he did reveal that in an interview.
The man holds back on everything, but he tells you that. I don't believe it, but
he said it his own word. I saw the interview. It was in his own words. And he had to say close to the bathroom. So
he's quite a funny character, isn't he, Ben White? I'm still not sure.
Talking about him, yeah.
I'm still not sure what to make of him, if that makes any sense.
You want him on your side, or else you're gonna hate him. That's as far as I can see so far. He's on our side, so we love him. But you put him on the other side, and then if you had to listen to him talk about his team beating your team, you'd probably be pissed.
He just seems like the sort of guy that I can imagine. He gets up in the morning, gets dressed, comes downstairs, has a coffee and some toast, and he just says, "Right, I'm off to work. See you when I get back."
He doesn't watch any football. He doesn't know any of the results.
And then when he comes back, his missus is like, how was it today? How was work today? And he was like, so-so. It was okay. Right. And that's it. Has his dinner and goes to bed and gets up and goes to work again in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. He really, really doesn't. He doesn't live the game, but he does live the game, if you know what I mean.
I think he seems, maybe I'm wrong, but it's almost like he's relieved he has to play for England anymore because it's just like more work, isn't it? There's more time off to do things at home.
Like, how can I can't get another tattoo appointment if I got to go play on the weekends, the international break.
As BX Gunner said, White is the unsung hero of the year. And Don Juan said, watch the Ben White interviews. They are hilarious. Stan, he doesn't give anything. He doesn't get, as I said to Gary in the previous segment, he doesn't give any crumbs to any interviewers.
You just said the man spent like his morning on the throne.
I know, but in general, I'm saying in general, he doesn't give anything away. Okay, he gave that away. Okay,
he went out the night before and had a curry and a few beers.
All right, I know what you mean, Gary. I know what you mean.
No, if you can say that, then what are you holding back for? That's like more embarrassing than I screwed up in practice the other day or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
maybe Ben White should hang out with Sam Greenwood. Maybe.
The thing is about Ben White, though, in what we're saying about the way he is and everything, but he must have something about him because he's been playing as a centre back, and here he is now playing in the right back position. Mm-hmm. And just the way that he got into the position yesterday to be there to score at that back post. I mean, he's obviously just got something about him. I know he's probably being, obviously he's being coached as well, but he's playing like he's been playing as right back for his career.
Yeah,
he doesn't look like someone that's finding their way into a new position, and
the All or Nothing documentary. While some of us didn't like it, it was really a good view of what's going on in the club, and you saw some of the coaching with some of the players. I think one of the coaches even talked to Ben White about the Liverpool game, remember, in last Easter at home at the Emirates. So Ben White does take coaching and does understand the game. And, you see the development from centre back. I think it was even in one of Arteta's interviews, in the post-game interview. He's gone from centre back to marauding right back. But still, Arteta
Do you
was
know what
like,
he reminds me of? He reminds me of a lead guitarist in a heavy metal rock band, but he actually hates heavy metal rock. He's just very good at playing the guitar. So that they want him in the band because he's brilliant on the guitar. But at home, he never plays that sort of music. He hates it. He plays classical music.
yeah, and now he's getting on the end of things and scoring goals. We'll go through the goals in a moment. Mr. Tom, we have to require a full 90 minutes to cover the Leeds game. Mr. Tom did say, is Jesus okay after Sniper shot him? Is that for the penalty, or was it the player who
I thought
bundled
he said he
into...
hated football. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Is
How does
Jesus...
he know who Jesus is? He talking about? Oh, he must be talking about the other guy, right? Is
I
that what he's talking about?
I think we had a penalty from Aileen, but also Trossard was bundled into by a defender and no penalty given in the second half. Did you see that? The player jumped right in. Trossard put an elbow right into his back, and because the ball wasn't there, nothing was given. Play went on. I didn't think you could foul players on the field, even when the ball's not there. Okay, so there's the lotto numbers. City were good, but damn, Liverpool were atrocious. Stan, Liverpool were a 60-minute team. You know, their heads dropped after that second goal.
Thing is, though, as bad as Liverpool have been this season, I still can't get out of my mind that they managed to turn United over 7-0. Do you know what I mean? That's like there's still something tucked away in there. They're still capable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And had they not had a score like that, I'd be feeling a lot more at ease at Liverpool, because they've been terrible this season compared to where they have been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't only so long ago that they were, you know, competing to be the best team in the land. The only team that could maybe go toe to toe with Man City, and they're so way off now. But that's 7-0. It's in the back of my mind. It's like, you know, don't overlook these just yet, because on their day they may be able to string a performance together. I just hope it's not next week.
Teams will have days like this, you know, where everything you hit will go in, Gary. So I think that 7-0 win that Stan's talking about, everything went their way, you know. And yeah, they're capable at Anfield.
Well, that's also. I mean, I don't know if we've seen it that much from Manchester United. That is for the Leeds fans, but I don't recall us ever saying, you know what, no matter what happens, we feel like this team has resiliency. They will come back from any deficit that's out there. Or we've seen it that often. Usually they've been ahead in most of the games, right? But come back. I don't know. I don't know if I feel like I've seen that enough, because I haven't seen a lot of their games. But you know, for us, yes. And I think, as I say, we've been the most consistent team, and that's why we are where we are. It's because we've been consistent. And even when we've dropped players, we've tried to still, you know, Arteta's still tried to, you know, get us to play the same way, no matter what, right? So. Yeah, no, the 7-0 is a little scary, because that means it's there. But I mean, based on what you've seen all season, or what you've seen in the last 10 matches, I mean, is there anything that shows you that that could happen again? Not the way we're playing. You know, if we play to our strengths and play and continue with our form, I think we should be able to get what we want out of this match. So, yeah. Well, I'll go by what is going on right now with Arsenal. We are we continue to play where we are. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, we'll be okay if we continue to play this way. So no matter where we play.
As Rady said, nice to see Jesus back a week before Easter. I think it was so important to get him back before the international break. He had a couple of substitute appearances. Came on against Fulham. Came on against Crystal Palace. And he got some minutes in his legs that he could start this game. You can see a little bit of hesitation when he came off after 60 minutes. Everyone wanted him to get that hat trick, but wasn't to be.
And so did he. You could see that, you know, you could see for him as well. And that's what you want to see. You want to see a player coming off and saying, oh, I wish I could stay on and try and bag another goal. That's what you want. you don't want him, jogging off all smiles and that. Yeah, that was all right. Do you know what I mean? I prefer. Oh man, I wish I could have stayed on and tried to get.
Yeah, there was a mixture of disappointment, but also like understanding that I'm one player in a squad, and I do need to come off because I probably can't make 90 minutes at this point in time.
And there's no point in having to try and blow someone up. Getting them all blown up. We were in control of the game, and as I mentioned, that we've got options on the bench now that they're not just a body on the pitch to take somebody's place. They can come on and make a meaningful contribution. Yeah,
Gary, I think that's key what Stan just said there. We're not blowing anyone up. We can manage Emile Smith-Rowe. We can manage Jesus. We can manage the minutes of maybe, Saliba. We may not have to rush him back. Bukayo Saka can sit for the first time in a long time without starting, Gary.
Oh, yep. Up top, we're good. We're good there. We're
Jorginho
not.
Helping Partey. There's lots of things here.
Yeah, center back is not that for me, anyways. I don't feel like if Saliba can play, then he plays, is what I feel at this point. It's not one of those, well, let's work him back in and stuff like that. Not yet. Not with the stretch of games that we have coming up at some point. We're going to want him to be part of that. I don't want to have to lean on Holding. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's really, I don't want us to be in a situation where we're like, well, Holding's going to have to play out of his skin. Gabriel's going to have his own problems. So Holding's going to be on his own for a bit. And once in a while, Holding might have to back up Gabriel in a situation. And can he do that? That's kind of what we've seen with our two center backs right now, is that they kind of back up each other when needed. And Holding isn't the one right now. So yeah, now we have the depth up front. It's not the same behind our center backs right now, but they chose to go with the attack. They started, it's kind of weird because they started, for me anyways, let's make sure we've got our defense is solid. Then let's get our attack going, fill the midfield a little bit. And now we've got the depth that we want up top, but we don't have it in other positions just yet. Yeah. So hopefully they fill those holes and those gaps so we can keep going there. But yeah, no, I as soon as Saliba can play, for me, he plays. This is almost like that discussion we had early in the season when Nketiah was playing, and it was, well, when Jesus comes back, does he come back into the starting lineup? And I was like, yep, he comes right back in. Like when Saliba's healthy, he comes right back in. I don't care how Holding's playing, for me, anyways, because Saliba is that there is that gulf, that big gap between the two players that even Saliba playing, at 70% is better than Holding at 100%.
It is a very chicken and egg. It's a very tricky chicken and egg conundrum there. I understand what you're saying, but there's also the question of merit, right?
There's a difference though with this season, because if you're like if you're a second string centre back, for example, you're Rob Holding, and the team is playing, sort of like 20 games into the season, they're languishing in 8th position. They're trying to even to scrape into a Europa League. The team's not firing, and then a centre back goes out and you come in. You're not really expected to change much, really, in that position. But if you're a centre back, on the bench, 20 games in, the team's been sitting at the top of the Premier League all season, and now one of the main centre backs is out, and you come in. You now are playing in a different way because you don't want to be seen as the weak link to let down all of the good work that's been going on all season. You're coming on in a much better attitude. You're top of the league. You've got a team around you that's playing really well. You're not coming into a team that's falling to pieces, letting in stupid goals, winning games that you should have won. You probably don't even want to come off the bench and play in the team at that time. You're like, I don't want to be a part of this, man. But you're probably chomping at the bit now to be a part of a Premier League winning team. So there's a different mindset, and I would say that it's probably helping Rob Holding.
Yeah. No, but think about it this way as well. Last season, they're not the same, but similar situation. We were coming in trying to do something we hadn't done the previous season, right? There's a lot of pressure on us to get top 4, right? And Holding was called on late in the season to be part of that run, and the man lost his head
Mm-hmm.
And some will say it's because of the players around him. He didn't have stronger players around him, and that's why he played. I don't. To some degree, I get that, but I think he lost his head a little bit more, just as
It
much
was
as the players around him weren't as solid as we have right now. In the sense that he's just one piece of the puzzle, as opposed to he's going to have to cover many pieces of this puzzle and answer a lot of questions, like because we're much better now. Like when you put anybody in our front four, like they're going to be okay because of the players around them, right? And
yes.
Kedia looks fine with Erdegaard and Martinelli and Saka around him, whereas in previous seasons we didn't have those players weren't playing at that level, so it was asked more of him to do things, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like last season, but supposedly he's got the maturity in the game that he knows his abilities and he won't lose his mind.
I
But he
think
did.
the
And
biggest
that's kind of my
difference.
that's why I had an issue with it, is because he did lose his mind, and he's supposedly be one of our senior players with the experience to know how to come into these games and play, and he didn't do a good job in that one.
I think he's got the experience, but I don't think he has the calmness that other experienced players in our squad has. And as you said, as Stan said, we're not straining our components now this season. Last season, we were straining every sinew to try to get into the top four.
And also as well, when Rob Holding comes into the team now, on his right-hand side, he doesn't have a Liechtensteiner there, or a Hector Bellerin who's a spent force. He's now got somebody reliable in there in a Rob Holding, and that must help as well. And to some extent, Tomiyasu.
Yeah. We don't have a Cedric even more recently.
As Cedric.
Don Juan's right here. Rodri is pretty key for City. Don't know how he stayed on the field against Liverpool.
That's the problem. He always stays on the field, no matter what he does.
That second was the second yellow. The second, I don't know if you saw it, Stan, but if you put two hands on the player's shoulder to stop an attack, and the player falls down, to me that's a yellow card. That was a second offense within minutes of each other. Managed to see out the rest of the game, because that's what they do, right? City get away with this stuff.
And I'll say he had a really good game, and it's like, well, anybody can have a good game if they can be handsy with the attackers in the middle of the pitch and nothing get called.
Mm-hmm. And Liverpool were asking questions of them in the first half, and did put Rodri under some having to make some decisions, let's say. Jesus is a general out there, and we have a lot more. The Invincibles had 11 generals on the field, and we're getting toward that number now. Flying Pigs meltdown was absolutely monumental. Flying Pigs meltdown. Enjoyed watching Man United get beat again today. Stan, as I was saying to Gary, I think when you stepped out, we have these tests coming up, and I think it's a good thing that we have these tests. They're going to keep our players, their toes and their feet on the ground. We've got Etihad, we've got Newcastle, we've maybe got Chelsea, West Ham, and now we've got Liverpool. So there's nothing here where we can rest on our laurels, right?
No, and I don't think that we're going to win all of the next 9 games that we have to play.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we don't have to.
Yeah.
There may be a couple of draws in there.
Yep, exactly. But the atmosphere, the test is to go to intimidating atmospheres, which, as Gary said, we have the best away record now in the league as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather drop points at, say, Newcastle or West Ham than at Liverpool, and have the lads think to themselves like, "Are we frauds? We still can't beat a Liverpool who are playing not very good at the moment. We can't take points off of them." I'd rather them maybe drop points and just think to themselves, "Yeah, we fucked up there, but we know how to put it right. We had an off day. We just fucked up," rather than having getting it too much into their heads that they can't chop their heads off of any of the big boys.
We've also had that situation where we effed up against City at home. We pushed it a little bit, and I think slowly we're going to recognize the mistake. We are recognizing the mistakes we make, and we're also going out next game and getting wins. We're
The
not
same,
letting
the same with Man United as well. You know,
Mhm.
we the first one. The game was a draw when it looked like it should have been a win, and we put it right the next time that we played them.
Yep.
You know,
Arsenal,
Tottenham at their ground again. That was another test.
big games.
Yeah.
In January, Tottenham away, Man United at home. We passed those two tests with wins. Liverpool 30 points behind Arsenal. That's mad. Welcome back, Alonso.
Well,
Don Moran said, had enough of this Anfield hype. Liverpool are not that good. Yeah, I'm starting to believe we are better and they are not as good.
You're not starting to believe we've been better all season.
I'm believing. I believe that.
I mean, if I'm reading what you just said,
The combination.
You're just believing now, as
yeah,
opposed to we've been
you,
top of the league for months now.
The two
yeah,
things.
you forget Liverpool's race favorite team, man.
You're right.
That's
So
true.
I'm not surprised.
No, I'm starting to believe the combo, Gary, that they're not as good, as the best Liverpool teams, obviously.
But that is a given, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best Liverpool teams would have been sitting around where we are with points, and United be right there with them, trying to push them along. So I kind of feel like, I mean, since World Cup, Liverpool has looked not like the team we've expected them, and that was going to be the case. The changes that they've done too much, and they didn't have a solid progression of building players, and they can just immediately hit the road running, and that's why they are.
Brady said we haven't won at Anfield since September 2012 to go 2-0 win Podolski and Cazorla. Man, Cazorla in this team, imagine that. 2012 was the last time we beat Liverpool at Anfield at the Abbey Masterclass. The Etihad isn't intimidating. I'm just sort of combining the team we have to play with the atmosphere of the crowd as well. Makes the whole package a little bit tricky. Anfield is the most overrated stadium in the Premier League. They sing "You Never Walk Alone." They sing the Salah song, and then it's dead for the next 60 minutes. I think the best thing to do, Alonso, when you go to Anfield, play a clean game and don't get the crowd involved, right?
Yeah, and also say disciplines. I think that's pretty important, given the fact that we kind of haven't had that much carded yellow cards or red cards our way this year, which is pretty impressive, given the fact that we were pretty high up there like a year ago and year before that. So I think we remain so disciplined this year, which is kind of quite a good change for us. Especially even Xhaka, he's always been the one that can be hot-headed sometimes, but now you're seeing him less being a peacemaker and less of an instigator, I guess, or
Yeah.
vice versa. So it's something going right in that club, and I think it's kind of different from we're not used to seeing that, because you've seen reckless challenges, you've seen us getting our temper set up really high to where we get in trouble. But we haven't had that much this year, which is quite a good change. So I think Anfield can be a different place as well, to where in the past they've kind of sucked us in, and Man City also has been a team that kind of sucked Arsenal into getting cards, and because they know now it's different. So hopefully we could keep that going and our good sportsmanship going too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Xhaka a little bit as well. Don Juan said, I think we disrespected Bournemouth. Yeah, we went and goal down, and we thought we would get the equalizer, as we had done many times. They
so
got
did Liverpool,
second
right?
goal.
Did Liverpool disrespect them? They scored 7 against United, and then the next game was Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And when I woke up and checked this football scores, I was like, what?
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I if that's one game out of the 29 we played, but I don't feel disrespect. I think teams will, this is the Premier League. We keep talking about it's one of the tops in the league. Teams at the bottom will get you once in a while in the season, right? You're not going to win every game. cleanly 3-0. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So on their day, they can get you, right? Everton had everything go their way against us. Did we disrespect them? No, I think they came out big, trying to win this more than we were. Disrespectful, I don't think we were, but I just feel on the day, some teams in the Premier League will get you, and that's what happened. And Bournemouth can do it, but you've seen they're not consistent. So it's a big comes and goes. That consistency they have isn't there. We've been more
Premier League.
consistent and more. I think we I don't know. The disrespectful thing, I don't think we do that for me, anyways.
I think the Premier League is basically 38 days. There's 38 occasions where you need to come out and bring your best to the game. And you have 11 players on the team, and all 11 players have to bring their best on the day. And on any given day, if you are a 9 out of 11, if you're 8 out of 11, where 2 or 3 players are just off a little bit, not giving it 100%, then you will get situations where you're 2 goals down against Bournemouth and you have to fight like hell to get back into it. You know what I mean? And every day gives you, every game day will give you tests, challenges, and things you need to overcome. And you have to, every game starts 0-0 as well, strangely enough.
And for me as well, the first Everton game when Dyche took over, and they basically they stopped us in our tracks a little bit, and we wasn't able to get really that much out of that game at all. But luckily enough, we were playing him again, within a couple of weeks. And what I liked about that was that obviously the management sat down and said, okay, what do we need to do to overcome that again? And I was interested to see how we would respond to playing Everton again. And it was a totally different story, wasn't it? And that tells me that people have done their homework. They'd looked at that game. How do we make sure that doesn't happen again, and that we can walk away with 3 points? And I enjoyed that, because I was a bit nervous. I was like, have we learned anything from this? Has the manager, done what he's supposed to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And they did. We beat them resoundingly, if I seem to remember.
Yeah, and you're right, Stan. On those 38 occasions, you will have a new manager for the opposing team. Though that team will have some injuries. You will have some injuries yourself, and all these things you need to overcome. It's not like every team plays their first 11 every game. Spurs Gate won't pick White because he doesn't understand them. Yeah, whatever happened between Southgate and Ben White is probably never going to come out. We don't know exactly. I know there was some incident at the World Cup, but Arsenal is going to benefit from it as well. White was called upon to do a service for this club and has done a fantastic job. Unlike Maitland-Niles, shows remarkable mentality. Yeah, the willingness to do what the coach and manager think that you can do, what your skill set is, and where you can help the team. Ben White may want to play central defender, but he's playing right back and doesn't seem to complain about it. You know what I mean? Let's speak about the goal, Stan, the Ben White goal. Martinelli crosses from the left, and I think you or Gary said beats his marker, gets to the ball first. Shows that tenacity.
What I also liked as well is a little bit before that, on the commentary that I was watching here in Canada, one of the commentators was saying about how Martinelli hasn't been creative enough with assists. That he's chipped in a lot of goals, but feels that he should be a player that's creating a bit more and putting some more assists on the board. So when he set that up, I had it ringing in my ears what the man was saying. I was like, okay, he's listening to you then. So this guy, he's going to improve. And it was a great ball to at the back post. And where did he come from, Ben White? I was like, who's that? I was like, Ben White. I was like, bloody hell. Hit the top of the bar. I love it when the way it hits the top of the bar and goes straight down into the ground. It's like you're not getting that.
No,
he's also very good on the overlap as well with Saka when working in tight spaces sometimes up on the right hand side, and he's also very good at putting balls in to the box. He seems to be a good crosser of the ball as well.
Yeah, they have a good understanding Bukayo Saka and
And you
Ben
think
White.
as a centre back, right? There's not really that much crossing going on, so he seems to have quite a lot of attributes, in his locker for what he can bring to
Yeah.
this team.
Yeah.
He's a good tackler. He's very good at where he should be on the pitch. He can chip in with goals. He works very well with the guy on the right-hand side, overlapping and putting balls into the box. I mean, who knew, right? When we spent 50 million on him, who knew? Because I didn't.
No, I remember the transfer saga, Gary, was in the summertime, and we had to go back and forth with Brighton. They held us to 50 million. They got 50 million in the end, as Brighton so often do. But he's gone on. He stepped up a level, I think, since then. Benjamin Blanco.
Yep. No, I mean it was funny because at halftime of the match when we were doing a watch along, or Mr. Tom, and this is probably where his hatred for football came in. He said, "Well, you know what? Hopefully Ben White will help out his former team. Supposedly Leeds helped Ben White to figure out this whole football thing, right? They taught him football. That's what he said at halftime, and come to find out, and then we're like, and also in that same discussion, we're talking about Martinelli, not bringing it as much as he has. I mean,
Wow.
Sam brought that up as
Two
well.
of them combined, right?
And then, like next thing you know, Martinelli puts the cross in, and Ben White's there to put us up, and it's like put us up even more goals, and it's like, oh damn, sorry, Mr. Tom, at that point.
Hey, Gary, did Tom and Sam, did they form like Voltron on that?
Did they what?
Did they form like Voltron?
Oh yeah, it seemed like it. Yeah. No, but it was funny because like we said, we've just been talking about it at halftime, and next thing you know, they combined on the assist.
I think Ben White probably doesn't even understand the concept of centre back and right back. To him, he just plays football. So Ben, what's your best position? He's probably like, I don't know, I just play football.
I don't know.
I just play football.
I just go out there and do what they tell me to do, right? Saliba back next week. I get the feeling he's not going to be back next week. The club has been very, very guarded on Saliba. Alonso.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? What are you thinking for Saliba? He's probably going to miss the Liverpool game, in my opinion. I think. What do you think? We don't really have anything to go on, right?
I think Arsenal are taking it day by day because they don't want to risk, a young, talented center back who's been such a pleasure to watch. They don't want to risk his injury, which I don't blame him because he's worth a lot to this team.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that Rob Holding is capable of doing that position, or playing that position rather. So, I guess until Rob Holding has a bad game, then I guess they should look at maybe considering bringing Saliba back. But right now, it's just too much risk, I guess, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, for sure. Tom, Kahoot, we'll do it on the half hour. So in about 16 minutes from now, we'll do Kahoot, and then we'll pick up the conversation again. Gary, to Alonso's point, we don't want to risk a long-term injury with Saliba, but it's a fine balance here. We're playing with Rob Holding at Anfield as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he's got all his friends around him. Stan wants to. I think Stan just went away because he thinks we're gonna have to fight this one out. But nah. Now, like I said, we've got a solid team. We can plug holes in, and those who come in, as long as they don't lose their mind, will be fine. And not Martinelli, but Gabriel Margalez has been a solid play on that back line. And for me, the one thing I said, and if you guys saw my video when Saliba injury came out, the one thing I said is that back line is Gabriel Margalez's back line, and Holding has to be able to understand that. Like I know in the past, it's always been, we're bringing Holding in, he's a senior player, blah blah blah, and all this. But for me, that's Gabriel Margalez's back line, and so Margalez has to look at it like, you know what, I can't have any issues here, and I need to control that whole thing. And
yeah,
it's
got to be the format.
And and Holding is just filling in the first spot, and so he's going to have to play out of his mind, especially in the Liverpool, because if he can do that, then we'll be fine. If and when Saliba does come back, right now it doesn't. We can't pinpoint a time, but for me, it's going to be Margulies and Holding for a time here, and Holding just has to come in and do what we've expected El Neni to do when he comes in, right? We know he knows his level. He doesn't try to do too much, right? And if we get what he gives us every time, we're fine and we're happy with that, right? Same thing with Holding. He doesn't have to do too much. I didn't like the whole going back and forth with Haaland when we played them, because eventually you're going to lose that one if you're Holding. You're just going to lose it. So why bother even getting involved in a situation where you got to, you're battling man on man with Haaland.
Grappling.
It's just not it's not a battle we need to do, and it's not one that Margulies or Saliba does. So he doesn't have to do that. We need to play some solid football back there. And this team against Liverpool, it's going to be more about Anfield than it should be the team on the field, because they're not at our level just yet. Not at that level this year. Yeah. All right. This year we are the premier team in this matchup, and we need to play like that. So confidence will be key, and we need to just get the 3 points and get out of there and get ready for the next one.
So I'm curious. When we started this piece, Gary, what Stan was smiling about.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was because he thought I was going to say something about Holding, so he can go back, so he can go back and forth. Because I
tell you what it is. It's like when people talk about Rob Holding, it's as if our right-sided centre-back, Saliba, is out, it's almost like the next person we are looking to is a 70-year-old man who needs the use of a mobility scooter to get around, like a pensioner. He can play football. He's not drastic. My bigger concern, though, is the omission of Tomiyasu through injury, because now, if we need Rob White to go to the end of the season, which I feel is going to be unlikely. I feel it's unlikely that he's going to be available for every single game. And should he not be available for one reason or another, it's what do we put into that position? Who's going to go into that position? Because whoever it is, it will be somebody either from the academy who will not be quite up to snuff, could be a bit daunting for them, or it's going to be somebody that's playing out of position.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday on the subs bench, we had young Walters on the subs bench yesterday, who went
because
on
even Tierney can't really help us, because Tierney, if it was the left-sided centre back that was out, we got plenty of people that could slot in there. Potter.
Gary's
exactly. I was just about to say that. I was like,
Potter.
I saw something pop up on my WhatsApp, notice, and I'm like, what the? Yep.
Potter to the Hotspur.
2 managers are gone this weekend.
Chelsea
has finally decided, the experiment is over before it's even had a chance to get going.
Okay.
So Chelsea are going to go for who?
Right?
That means that team is not going to get their preferred manager now, even as if they weren't getting it before. If you had a choice between Chelsea and that team, what are you doing?
Chelsea have first dibs on that, I would say. Yeah.
Hey Ray, there's no question. Your answer is these nuts, man.
Alonso is the new Chelsea manager.
They're now further away as well from their ideal formation and starting 11, because whoever comes in now, he's got 5 million players that he has to try and understand and work it all out and start again. And plus he's got the added pressure of, if I can't leave this player out because he costs this much, and what about this guy? He's going to be expecting to play. It's going to be a daunting job for whoever goes in there. Yeah. Because you sometimes when you take over a club, the best thing to do is say, right, I'm picking these players. We're playing in a 4-4-2 just while I can figure things out. But I don't know if you can get away with that at somewhere like Chelsea. Whoever goes in there is expected to put points on the board immediately, and maybe that's not the case.
It has to look like what Tuchel just did at Bayern Munich, right? Comes in, they don't miss a beat, and they look like they're a little bit better team. So they get the jolt immediately because, like you said, they've got quality players. It's not a case of, well, I don't have quality players I can work with. No, like you said, they've got like 50 players. They can figure out whether or not they want to keep, like with their loan, with the players they have on loan, the players that are injured. They probably have like 50 players they could choose from and go, you know what, I can get a starting 11 that can compete with everybody, and then I can work on my depth.
Whoever
they have,
and whoever they choose, they have to bring in a manager that the players look at and think, I like him. He was a great player, or he's a great manager at Club X or whatever. It can't be another up and coming who's come from a small team but doing great things there and is showing potential, which is what Potter was. Big step for Potter, but they need somebody that the sort of players and personalities that they have there, they need to be able to, when the manager says no, they respect that. They're not like, what? Yeah, you don't talk to me like that. You don't even know what you're talking about. They need someone like a Zidane, for example, a Luis Enrique, someone that the players will actually listen to and respect. I just don't see a Potter, telling Aubameyang you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that, and with Aubameyang like listening and taking it in and absorbing it. It probably just goes in one ear and out the other, and he got that attitude of, this guy, what's he even know? What's he done? So that's what they need.
Exactly.
I mean, what's crazy is
Todd Bowley will probably get his coaching badges and become the manager.
No, but that's the thing. It's like Bowley. Bowley has enough money that he can just go out there and say, you know what? Who is the top football executive, manager, VP, CEO, whatever it is, and then say, come to Chelsea, and I'll give you.
I can see the pitch now. I see the pitch now. Bowley walks into the boardroom and goes, right, I've got the answer. I'm going to be the next Chelsea manager. And the other board members are like, but Todd, you don't even have coaching badges. And he's like, aha. Neither does Will Steele. It just cost them 22 grand a week for him to manage every week. We can afford that. We're golden.
This reminds me of the Iron Man when they were in Monaco, and then they switched the driver right before the race because Tony wants to drive.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. The guy's sitting there with his helmet going, what? I'm not driving? Nope, not in the Tour de Monaco. You're not driving. And Tony's driving. It's like,
the owner
that's Foley right there.
I don't know who it was at United. It was Michael Knight or something when he bought United. He went out there and did some fuddy before the game.
81 million for
ago.
Potter. 6 months. They spent 81 million on Potter. 6 months. Just the manager. That's how much it cost them.
Yeah.
81 million.
How much is he going to get in his severance package? I mean, he was only how long into his was he in a 5-year contract?
Some people are saying 60 mil to sack him.
Wow.
Happy days.
60 mil to sack him.
I don't.
He's like he go back to Brighton and say, I got money for our transfer budget now.
I don't see Simeone going to Chelsea.
Brighton. The whole town.
Stephen has to go. Maybe I'm way behind in the chat. Says ready.
Maybe you're way behind. Come on.
Maybe I'm way behind this one. Maybe Stephen left 20 minutes ago, but thanks for being here, Stephen. Yes, listen. Hey, it's a good day when I'm way behind in chats. That means that you guys are just firing them off. We're having a chat here, and I'm trying to do the dual thing of have the chat going and the chat box doing its thing as well. 600 million an hour.
As well, Tottenham, who obviously are trying to get a manager, now they're thinking, oh fuck, now we've got Chelsea to contend with. Any manager on the market who's got the choice will probably go to Chelsea ahead of Tottenham.
That means they should go after Rodgers then, because Chelsea would jump ahead and get Rodgers, and then they can get who they want.
But which no, seriously though, bro, which club is on a better foundation right now? You've got Chelsea with Todd Bowley, and you got Tottenham.
They're both crap. They're both crap.
Which squad would you rather
crap
work
clubs?
with?
You made me say crap. That they're both terrible clubs in the sense.
Is that a bad word?
They are not. Yeah, it's just bad for me.
Okay, right. If I'm booting up FIFA on the old Xbox, and you're like, you can only pick Chelsea or Tottenham, then you're picking Chelsea, man. I mean, they're just,
you got more scope
of riches, right?
They got what is it? Do you get the score?
Play with a rush goalkeeper.
They're all
I mean,
99s or something like that, ridiculous or whatever.
you've either got the history of the Tottenham or you've got the history of the recent Chelsea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The less history of Chelsea. Okay, Hendon, I'm hoping it's Poch. That little club would have cost Campbell and Poch to who they like or the rivals are. Even though they win, so it's all in their heads that they are a big club. Has Arsenal? Some people have said Arsenal have driven Tottenham to this. Arsenal driven Chelsea to this. I don't really subscribe to that. We're
I
doing
don't think
our own
anybody. You
thing.
know what? Nobody want to follow in Arsenal's footsteps. They just like the results. It's just that whole thing where I'm all about our performances than the results, right?
Mhm.
Nobody wants to go and build a team the way we did. They just like the results at the end of the day. Look at what they got now, right? Nobody wants to go. Everybody wants to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they never want to lift the weights and eat healthy. You know what I mean? They just want to have the big muscles and get up there, right?
I
That's
like
what's
that. I
going on.
like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
That's
what I
good,
think
Gary.
going
I
on.
like
No,
that
because
one.
we suffered through this, and they were all laughing at us, right? Why you guys, they're laughing at us, and we're like, damn it, why are we taking so long to get where we want to be? And
Yeah.
Arteta, I always go back. Arteta did not lie to us. I just didn't want to wait. You know what I mean?
That's
I
the
didn't
key,
want to
though,
wait.
Gary. Right? That's the key, isn't it?
Mhm.
Our owners,
Mhm.
I think, have to be given a lot of credit because it was only a couple of months ago that I remember reading something about Chelsea, and they were saying that Todd Bowley has been looking at the Arsenal model and what they've done with Arteta, and no matter what happens, Potter's going to be safe this season. They're going to stick with him and give him the time, and it was all talking about Arsenal, and it's all right saying that, but look what's happened now. Push has come to shove, and they lost their nerve, and they've let him go.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't keep their nerve like
It's
our owners
discipline.
did.
That's discipline. That's why it is discipline. You have to be disciplined in your
Do you
approach.
remember as bad as things got with Arsenal, there was 14 games that Arteta lost maybe 11 of those and drew maybe 2 or 3, the first 14 games of that season where we were in the relegation zone until December when we climbed out of it there. You know what I mean? And
He was getting fired until we played Chelsea. Remember that? Going into that Chelsea match, we were like, damn, this is going to be a terrible way
I
for
mean,
the
yeah.
holiday season to begin or end. I can't remember where if it was before, if it was Boxing Day or whatever it was. It was like, all right, we're in trouble here. And then we played Chelsea. And then since then, we haven't really looked back after that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do you call it, happy accidents or not, with Emile Smith-Rowe being given that role as well? We play Chelsea on Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day, and we get a 3-1 win. And we go and beat Brighton 1-0. We beat West Brom in the snow 4-0. And things picked up from there.
Yeah.
But you're saying, look at the Arsenal model. They stuck with Arteta. Well, Chelsea didn't have the nerve. If they thought Potter was the man.
Yeah. You know what's going to be good about this whole thing? Because when Liverpool plays Chelsea, because they're playing at the Bridge, right?
Yes.
Liverpool is going to feel confident about that match, and I like teams winning, coming and playing us. I don't like them losing and then having to play us.
Right.
So they're going to feel confident about themselves, but we're not that team. And that's why it's going to be a false narrative for them in terms of like them getting a win against Chelsea, who's going through it, and they are a wishy-washy team. There, you never know what you're going to get. Box of chocolates and all of that. So, but we have been consistent.
Mm-hmm.
We're always the good chocolate. You know that? We're always the good chocolate. When you open up the box and you take a piece, it's always the good chocolate. Arsenal, Liverpool, you don't know. Sometimes it's all air and sometimes it's good, but you never know. So, yeah, that might be good for us as well.
I've been looking at Liverpool going to Chelsea, thinking that's another game during the week that Liverpool have to expend energy in. Now they're going to face whatever bounce this will be. If Potter was an issue at Chelsea, the Chelsea players will feel a little bit more free to play the game. I don't know who's going to take the game, and but we're going to play a Kahoot game. We'll pick up the conversation. Maybe Todd Bowley will have installed a Chelsea manager by the time we're finished with the Kahoot game.
He probably would have installed one, fired one, and then hired another one in the time that we played Hoot.
And Daniel Levy is still thinking about it. Well, okay then. I'll go second. I'll take the sloppy seconds from Chelsea's. Maybe interviews can be lined up in North London and East London. Chelsea are. I'm not sure. Stan, you might be able to help me. Is it East London?
What's that?
Chelsea. Where's
West
Chelsea?
London.
East London.
West.
West London. Thank you, Alonso. All right. We have got a few people in here. Okay, we got 5 in there. I'll give it a couple more minutes. There
Hey, guys,
is a
I'm
good
gonna-
pin before.
I'm going to go ahead and go. So, I just want to say thanks, Ray, for having me on. See you, Gary. See you,
All right,
Stan.
see ya.
Make sure you guys check out the Fools on the Full Nothing podcast tonight. As they talk about WrestleMania, I'll be on there. I'm sure Stan will as well. And let's go back and
feature.
check in here. Woo! Anyways, come on, Arsenal, and see you guys. See
Is
you
the
guys
race
soon.
starting, Alonso?
Just about, yeah.
All right. Sure. All right. Cheers.
You guys
Thank you.
Enjoy, have fun.
See you guys. Bye.
Ending Gunner says he's out as well, off to dinner. Enjoy, have a good meal. Ending Gunner. I know
All right,
everybody
take care,
said
Andon.
Ray's been going through and analyzing all of the messages. That's why you're not seeing that many today. I'm just.
I've been trying to keep up, Gary.
You know what? At some
trying.
point, you just have to put them up. We're not going to be able to, because it's pretty good that they're talking, but we're not going to be able to answer every one of them. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got you.
They just
Okay.
want to see. They want to see their name in lights.
Listen, we try to do that. I'm sure you try to do that as well, Gary, over on your show as well. If people come to the bigger podcasts and they don't get their names, they don't get their comments thrown up there, they don't get their questions answered, we try to do that here as well. I'm sure you do that as well, Gary. All right, so here we go. We're going to start. We got a few people in. We're going to start this right now. It is a mixed bag of.
They said Fabio Romano says Nagelsmann was mentioned yesterday during internal discussions. So
nice.
So he.
Yeah, I'm sure Nagelsmann. I'm sure Bayern Munich has sparked what Bayern Munich have done has sparked Tottenham to move, Conte to move. Conte's there. Could Conte go back to Chelsea?
Now think about it. If he
That's the
goes
thing.
there, right? Didn't he? Where was Nagelsmann before? Bayern?
I don't know.
It was okay.
I
I
think
was
he's
thinking.
always been.
No. He was before Bayern Munich. He was at, I don't know. Is it Salzburg or something? Or
I can check that. Probably Salzburg. Yeah. All right. We got Potter's Tears, Don Juan, Levels. That could be you, Gary, right? Klopp's Teeth,
be.
Mr. Tom
Could be.
Bebe. Stephen O'Toole's here. Conte's Syrup, P45, and Graham Potter. So there's a lot of Potter stuff going on here. All right, let's get this
He's got a lot of time on his hands,
in
hasn't he?
here. It's a mixed bag.
he's got like four computers going.
Yeah. Is that? I want to beat Mr. Tom this week. I've heard about that.
All right, here we go. It's starting. The Arsenal 4-1. Jesus leads Arsenal to the run-in. Which club is the only club to win all UEFA club competitions? Which European club is the only one to win all the cup competitions? Ajax, Bayern Munich, Juventus, or Monaco?
That is a guess for me. So.
Yep. I wanted to not have people jump out into the lead too quickly in this one. Keep it competitive right till the end. So I've got some strategic, tougher ones. Okay, 2 correct answers. Juventus. Juventus have won all of the cup competitions. Levels is in the lead. Conte Syrup, P45 second. All right, true or false? Arsenal have never been relegated. True or false? Arsenal have never been relegated. Tybes in the house. Arsenal have never been relegated. It is true. All 8 of you are correct. Levels in Conte's syrup, first and second. Graham Potter's third. Conte's Potter's tiers, fourth. Klopp's teeth, fifth. Okay. Which player scored the fastest goal in the Champions League? Roy Mackay, Seedorf, Del Piero, or Stankovic? Which player scored the fastest goal in Champions League history? They've never been relegated from the league, though, Stefan. Mackay is the correct answer. Okay, getting close. Potter's tiers second. Mr. Tom is in third place. Levels is in first. Addition question. What is the combined number of Partey and Saka's shirt numbers together? 14, 12, 10, or 16? Ready? Just a couple of Champions League questions. The rest are not. What do you think, Gary? What's the answer?
Yeah, I'll tell you if I got it right.
12 is the correct answer. Add 5 and 7.
No, I didn't. I had bad
Part-
math.
Partey and Saka.
I had bad math. I knew one was 7, and I couldn't think of the other one, so I added
Partey, you're number 5. Potter's tiers in the lead. Conte's syrup is second. Levels third. Graham Potter fourth. Klopp's teeth fifth. Potter's tiers has the highest answer streak of 3. Okay, 5 of 11. Who am I? I played goalkeeper for both Arsenal and Leeds, winning a league title. Fabianski, Lukic, Manone, or Chesney?
That's not actually what happened with Arsenal about being relegated and then a vote. It didn't happen like that. They were already in the lower division, and there was a vote for another team to move up, and Arsenal got that vote, so they were already in the division below. And once they got put into that division, we've never been relegated from the top tier.
Exactly. 8 correct answers. John Lukic winning the league title with Arsenal in 1989. Potter's tiers in the lead. Conte's syrup close second. Graham Potter third. Levels fourth. And Mr. Tom fifth. It's pretty competitive here. Okay, name Leeds United's home ground. Vicarage Road, King Power, Filbert Street, or Elland Road? This would be the one and only Leeds question. Elland Road is correct. 4 players just hit a streak of 3. Potter's tiers first, closely followed by Conte's syrup, P45 second, Graham Potter third, Levels fourth, and Mr. Tom fifth. Mr. Tom's only fifth. What year was Arsenal's first Premier League title win? 1991, 92, 1997, 98, 2002, 2003, or 2003, 2004? Yes, Brady, King Powerless. I don't think I knew about Brendan Rodgers at the point of me making this. Okay, 5 correct answers. 1997, 1998, where I think Arsenal won 12 games in a row to surge past Man United. Mr. Tom is into second place, closely followed by Klopp's teeth, and the leader is Potter's tiers, streak of 6 so far. Well done, Potter's tiers. True or false, Arsenal have never finished below 11th place in the league. True or false, Arsenal never finished below 11th place. That one is also true. Arsenal never finished below 11th in any of the leagues. So we have a very close game here. Potter's tiers holding on. Mr. Tom is coming hard. Levels in third place, still in it. Right, Stan?
What's Mr. Tom doing?
Mr. Tom is in second place. Streak of 4 in a row. coming.
Sounded quite messy.
That one was for Sam. What is the surname of the main Arsenal founder? Dalglish, Danskin, Donnell, Donning. There was a number of founders, but there was one guy who had the idea, the main founder. Mr. Tom said that's not PG, Stan. Danskin is correct. That kicks Mr. Tom back a little bit. Conte Syrup, P45 has gone into second place. Klopp's Teeth still in it. Potter's Tears leads. This is going to be very close. There's 2 left. What team did Arsenal midfielder Gilberto Silva move to when he left Arsenal? Rhoda, JC, Panathinaikos, Stuttgart, or Marseille? What team did Gilberto move to? You're all very quiet out there. Gary and Stan. 6 correct answers. Panathinaikos.
I'm guessing so.
Potter's Tears in the lead, but this is very, very close. And I'm enjoying this one because it's not by any means conclusive right now. Conte Syrup in second, Mr. Tom third, Klopp's Teeth fourth. Here we go. Last one. Colonel Mustard asks, which team has Arsenal not drawn to this season? Brentford, Man United, Newcastle, Southampton. Which team is Arsenal not drawn with? And I was hoping Tony would be with us today. He would appreciate Colonel Mustard. 7 correct answers, Manchester United. 1 incorrect of Southampton. Here is the podium. Third place, Conte's Syrup, P45. Third place.
I thought Arsenal did draw against Man United.
No.
Not this season.
We were beaten by them.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Tom, second place, Potter's Tears. And to be fair, Potter's Tears did lead from the start. But this was a very, very
What do you mean from the start? You can't say that.
Game. Okay, I can't say that then. What? Why?
His
He
level
was pretty much there from the
start.
start, right?
You said leading from the start.
Okay, I said pretty much leading from the start.
All right, the semantics.
Anyway, levels. That was you, Gary. Levels.
I'm not gonna say.
All right. Congratulations and really good participation today. Mr. Tom lost by 100 points. If only I knew who the Arsenal founder was. Yeah. You can't win them all. I thought Arsenal finished lower than 11th back in the early 80s. Check it out. You can fact check me, but that's what I came up with. Assembled had Juventus, True, McKay, 12, Lukic, Allen, 1998, True, Danson, Panathinaikos, Man United. Yeah, you got them all right. Assembled. Download the Kahoot app and get in there for next week. Right? Did you learn anything there, Stan? Danskin? You won't forget that name again, right?
I knew that one.
Got it. Good.
Yeah. Maybe I'll play with you every week. Maybe I don't. You'll never know because I never put my real name in there. And there have been times when I have played, not said I've played, and won, and I've heard somebody else in the chat box claim my win. And I've just gone, okay. That's how we're doing it. That's how we're going to do it.
Hey, if you're not going to be upfront to tell us who you are, what your username is, then, we have to assume things, right?
I don't need the glory.
Stop. You try. Yeah, you do. Stop it.
I'm not like Mr. Tom, who's like, when he wins, I can imagine him doing victory laps around his front room. Fucking beat them.
All right. Listen, here's the danger. You get fact checked for a fun Kahoot game that's not supposed to be that serious, right? I'm getting Sam is fact checking me. Thanks. Okay. Granit Xhaka, Stan.
Yes.
The redemption story continues.
It's if we win the Premier League, then it's got to be one of the biggest stories when you're looking at individuals in the squad and how they develop. Because man had his suitcase packed by the door at one point. Do you know what I mean? He was just waiting for the taxi.
Tony was accepting the money. Tony had the money. It just
I'd spent the money. I'd already spent the money. I had it all allocated. So I think that we just keep him where he is. So I saw someone earlier say, we could put Trossard in there and that would surprise Klopp. But for me, I'm like, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I like the way that combination is working at the moment, and I don't see that Granit Xhaka has done anything to lose his place. I'm not saying that we can't go out and buy a better player for that position, but I think at the moment, with the unity and the squad that we have, I'm a little bit sort of loath to rock the boat in any way.
Yeah. Listen, Gary, this could be Jordan Henderson. This could be Granit Xhaka, could be Jordan Henderson in a few years. I know you're going to hate that comparison.
Yes, it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
Jordan Henderson won the league.
Jordan Henderson, no matter how pissed off he was at the fans, I don't believe would have done the things that Xhaka did.
You don't know. We don't know that, right?
I can only go by what I've seen, and you're comparing, Liverpool's, really good leader for Liverpool over the last 5 to 6 years to Xhaka, who wasn't leading by example.
Yeah,
in certain
I'm just saying.
So it's not the same thing for me. I shoot that down right away. Nah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying it's a player with ability that could lead his team to a Premier League.
Doesn't have ability like Henderson. We're not going to move Xhaka around to fill a spot and actually see it work. It hasn't worked yet.
Never want to see him at left back again.
So
Never.
You know what I mean? See right there is one reason why it's not the same thing.
Well,
Henderson back. Remember Henderson? He played everywhere for them. Played on the back line. He played midfield. He played everywhere for them. When they needed a whole field, he would fill the holes. Not now. He can't do it now. But back when they were winning, and he was the captain and all of that, and they were winning trophies, he was answering the call. Mm-hmm. They weren't missing out on a player for a bit when he came on. You know what I mean? So it's not the same thing. I would like it to be, but it's not.
All right. So let's just pretend I never made the comparison to Jordan Henderson. Mm-hmm. Gary, Granit Xhaka.
No. You know what? I am happy the way he's playing. And I've always said that I would have liked to seen maybe the other players get the same sort of support from Arteta in similar situations, because they needed that hand around the neck, around the shoulder, that Xhaka did. But Xhaka also does bring some stuff to the table what the other players didn't, and that's probably why he got the benefit of the doubt in those situations. But he is playing well. I enjoy now when he starts to get into a little tussle with a player who comes out and tries to step to us, right? I enjoy that because I know that he can reach that level if he needs to, but he's been really, really contained in his emotions on the pitch, and hasn't been putting himself in situations where he's been getting silly yellow cards. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's not doing that anymore, and because of where he's playing on the pitch, but also he's been delivering as well, right? He's gotten us goals. I think if I recall, he also has the 10 goal contributions at this point.
Yeah,
right?
5 of 5.
Right? So he is doing well for us in that situation. So yeah, it's all good. Are there better out there? I think there are, but I think the things that people say why we can't change him are the reasons why Zinchenko and Jesus and Erdegaard are picking up the slack of the leadership that we need in the squad, right?
Yeah.
So those things, those intangible things, I think we have some of that as well now. So he has to deliver now with his performances and the skill set that he has. So and I think it's limited some people will say it's limited in the case where we've seen him we've seen him in situations where you're like, well, if that was a more attacking threat, he probably would have just put that ball away or laid it off for a really nice pass to his teammate, and he hasn't done it. So those are the things that he I don't know if he's going to be able to get better at those at this point in his career, but he is he's doing what we want and what we need right now. So as Stan said, there's no reason to change it. That's why I want rotation, so we're not like looking at this part of the season going, well, what if we put Trossard in there? Well, it's a little too late now because we're not rotating enough to say if it's going to work or if the team's going to gel to it immediately, right?
Mhm.
Trossard comes in, he just fills a spot, but he's not playing the way we play with Xhaka in that spot, right? He hasn't been playing that way, I don't
No.
believe. So it would be something new for him. So for me, there's no reason to change. He doesn't sit out, right? He's not injured a lot, so just let him play and let's just worry about that next season.
Mr. Tom, thanks for staying with us this long. Thanks for being a sport. And we are following Leeds here on out. And I, for one, don't think that you're going to be in the relegation zone at all. Daniel Harley, welcome to the show as well. And thanks for being here. Stan, Craig says Xhaka could be Arteta's next assistant.
Could be. I mean, I'm just looking at his numbers, and in 29 games, he's had 10 goal involvements, 5 goals, 5 assists, 4 bookings. And the last time he came with numbers anywhere near that was 4 seasons ago. And in 4 seasons ago, he played 29 matches for that season, 4 goals, 2 assists, 10 yellow cards. Yeah, he was probably playing in a different position, but I think if you look at that comparison, he's now showing his worth, and you've got to give that down to Mikel Arteta, who had a keen eye and decided that he could do a job for us in a different part of the park, because he was hurting us a lot when he was playing further back. He was hurting us big time, and that's where a lot of the frustration was born from. That we'd be working hard in a match, and then something would happen, and an own goal scored, or penalties given away, or a player's being sent off, and Granit Xhaka's always in the middle of it, and after you see that, repeatedly, it can become frustrating.
Yeah, he was like that kid at school. Okay, maybe he didn't start the problem, but he was always there. The one getting the blame, the one getting the yellow card, the one getting.
And a great example of that was, one of the visions of the season is Mikel Arteta running like a gazelle up the pitch to bring Xhaka away from any hotspots that were happening.
One thing that you said there, Stan, which we need to talk about as well, is you brought out the number 29, and Ray will understand when I say we also need to talk about the number 24. 24 games played.
Yeah, 29. Yeah.
No, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? Oh, you do. Okay.
24 for Partey. Yeah.
24 games he's played, and it's been a while since he's done that, and he's at that number now, and we don't expect him to miss any more games, right?
Yeah.
He's got 9 more by the end of this thing.
What's the key there? We're in a situation now that, if we're in control of a game, we don't have to leave him on for 90 minutes because we've got somebody like Jorginho who can come in and still, keep control in the middle of the park. And it's not a huge drop off.
Yeah.
So you got to give that to the management as well for making that move and putting us in a position where we're not over relying now on Thomas Partey to play every minute of every game.
Yeah, in 59 minutes, Jorginho comes in for Partey. We're managing the minutes of Partey now. Jesus comes in for Saka.
Yeah, and that scenario is what I believe we needed to have seen in that Brentford match. In that Brentford match, maybe we don't lose that one. Maybe we don't
mention Brentford.
We don't lose the 2 points because the reason why I bring it up is because that is the scenario that we want to bring in Jorginho for, right?
Ruin my Sunday.
I'm sorry.
Never speak of Brentford until the end of the season. We have that trophy secured.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring it up, but it's hard for me to hold back and just go. I'll save it for later.
We definitely need to do a podcast in the summer of moments of our season, and as Stan said, Mikel Arteta, That's the fastest I've ever seen him run through midfield.
Never ran that fast in an Arsenal shirt, did he?
Chasing Granit Xhaka. No, he never ran that fast.
I remember him arriving in the box and like that.
And you know what? See what you the example that you're saying there, right? Is Arteta is running, chasing down Xhaka because he knows him. You think he does that for all of his players in that scenario? Nah, because it's a totally for me it's a totally different dynamic he has with Xhaka than he does with some of the other players. You know, where he knows, you know what? Oh crap! I know this is that the flare has just been shot in the air. There's danger coming. I got to get there quick and stop this before this thing happens. You know.
If you have a still of that picture of him in full flight, the tagline is "Leave it, Xhaka. He's not worth it."
And it's a blur. That picture is never a clear picture because Arteta is moving fast through midfield. Definitely, I think Xhaka knows, or Arteta knows Xhaka intimately. I would not that intimately, right? But knows his game, let's say. Yeah. I would argue he's getting to that point where with most of his squad, you know, there is definitely a conversation to be had on that one. But definitely a podcast to the future of moments of our season. And that would be a humorous one with remembering Mikel Arteta.
Did you hear that snippet from his post-match where they were talking to him about Trossard and how well he's done since he's been at Arsenal, and the guy interviewing him said something like, I bet you would never have believed, you know, how he'd play like this in your wildest dreams. And Mikel Arteta just said, I have pretty wild dreams.
Yeah. I think in some ways
I don't want to be in that mind. I don't know what's going on in there.
It's a little bit Ben White-ish, you know what I mean? It's a little bit, he gives a little bit more than Ben White, but there's a little bit of like, I am not willing to give the media too much to feast on here. And, you know, I'm here for that as well. Dan,
by the way, my missus always points out that Trossard literally goes, he doesn't look very well. She thinks he looks very poorly and sickly. You know, like his pale skin and the rings around his eyes. She always says that he looks like
patch. He's got that patch here.
He says he looks like an old man.
Yeah. Gary, you were about to jump in.
No, I was just going to say on Daniel Hartley's his last point about having better players around Xhaka has helped as well, and that's been key to that as well. That's why any players that we bring in now, as long as we're not making significant changes around them, they're fine, right? Mm-hmm. You know, Nelson comes out, he has a really good game. You know, Milsif Rowe comes in, he has a good game. Yes, you know, Nelly, whenever he's coming, fine. Holding, same thing. Tomiyasu or Tierney, when they come in, are they exactly like our starters? No, but we don't miss much. When they come in, they bring their own skill sets, and then they try to do what Arteta wants as well. So we've got answers pretty much everywhere that we need. Like I like to see, you know, Fabio Vieira just be the only change and see how players played around him when he knows he's got the best players all around him playing as well, because we don't know how that looks either. But
what do you think is his best position, Gary? Fabio?
I think I don't know what Xhaka does at his 8 that Fabio Vieira can't do. I know people say he does all these things, but I guess I don't notice it as much. I'm not necessarily looking at him to go, you know what? Fabio Vieira can't do what Xhaka does in this type of situation. But in terms of attacking, I think he can. Right? If you put him in a situation where he's attacking and he's got Erdogan behind him or something like that, then I would like to see how that looks. So I think he could play, you know, either that 8 where Xhaka is, but I think he's just a backup for Erdogan right now, which is fine. But he needs to get on the pitch, so he needs his minutes wherever they come.
Yeah, so. And I think also he needs to be putting in convincing performances, because right now Xhaka is getting the minutes over him.
Well, they're not. It's not the same comparison because they're not playing with the same players. It's like you said, if you play Xhaka with the second team, he doesn't look the same as if he's playing with the first, you know, with the first team. So it's hard to tell. But I know that offensively, Fabio Vieira offers a lot more from what we've seen, the little bits that we've seen from him. Yeah. I mean, he puts in a nice cross for a header like anybody else on the team, right? Probably the best on the team with the limited amount of times we've seen him play and position opportunities he's put in there. So, but yeah, he needs. I think he always needed to play faster than he thought he was. I guess he thought he was playing in Portugal and not in the Premier League. He spends too much time on the ball and he's not thinking 2 steps ahead. So by the time he gets the ball, it's too late. They're on top of him and he never gets the ball off and he loses it.
I think next season will be a big season for him. As you were alluding to, Gary, I think the adaptation to the Premier League comes differently for many players, and he may have needed this season. Stan, what do you think about Fabio adapting to the Premier League?
Who? Sorry, who are you referring to?
That's his name, Fabio Vieira. So his mama call him Fabio. Hey, we're gonna call him Fabio.
I'm not gonna lead you into this one.
I don't know who that is.
Own. If you want to go with the other name,
call the guy by his name.
I don't know who that is, but the other guy in the midfield, Teabag.
Don't upset Gary.
Just looking at.
I should have muted. I should muted the audio on that one.
Why did we buy Teabag in the first place? Right, when he was at Porto in the 21-22 season, in 27 matches, he scored 6 goals but had 14 assists. And if I remember rightly, that might have been the most assists in the Portuguese league that season. Now, I don't know what position he was playing in when he came up with those assists. I'd be interested to see where we're using him now is at the same place where he was playing, same position on the pitch where he was playing, in Porto. So maybe there's been an adjustment because I've also heard that he can play wide right.
Yeah.
Which could make a lot of sense for 14 assists. Yeah. But I think that there's definitely a player in there. And, once he starts... I think getting a little bit more settled. You have to remember, Odegaard had a settling in period when we had him on loan, and when he went back to Real Madrid, I remember a lot of people going, "Yeah, let's get Buendia instead. Let's spend 60 million and get Maddison."
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that there is a little bit of a settling in period, and I think that those assists, hopefully, he'll start to lay more of those in for us and start making maybe a position in the team his own, because he's hardly had a sniff in the beginning half of the season, but we started to see more and more recently over the last few games that Xhaka has been withdrawn and Teabag is coming on and filling up that space. And it seems to be that one particular area that he's replacing him. He's not using him as a Swiss Army knife and using him for Xhaka, Saka, using him for Odegaard, using him, he's using him in one specific place. And it seems to be that left 8 area.
December wants to know why you call him Teabag.
Why do I call him Teabag? Because there used to be a TV show called Prison Break.
Prison Break.
And one of the actors, Robert Knepper, he played a really good character whose name was Teabag. And if you look up that character,
no, don't look it up. Don't look it up.
All right, big up Gary for being a good sport. Big up Gary for being a good sport. He doesn't like it, but he lets us say it.
But here's a funny thing, right? When I first started referring to him as Teabag, it was about maybe the second week in, somebody sent me a message and it was Tavares was talking to
Martinelli.
He was talking to I think he was online talking to Vieira and he called him Teabag. and he responded with like a smiling emoji with his cool sunglasses on. So it's obviously someone else calling him it other than me.
He's seen it.
Or if they've been watching the show, who knows?
News I'm getting of Tavares is that the manager at Marseille turfed him out of training. He wasn't applying himself. So hopefully Tavares knuckles down again and gets back to it.
That's not a good sign for him because we don't need, like, what is key to Arteta? What does he look at? He looks at practice. He's told us that he's been practicing well, and that's why he thinks certain players are going to get more minutes, right? And if you're having a problem practicing while you're out on loan, it's not a good sign because you're out on loan because we want, 1, you need the minutes, or 2, you need to improve your skill set. And if you're not even practicing well, you're never going to play well. I always say you practice the way you play.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, you play the way you practice. And that's not good for him. It's not good for him as well because we don't. Where are we going to play him anyways? Now,
I think
now Marseille's got a reason for not spending top money on him.
Hopefully his loan will not be overlooked, that he will have a place and somebody will want him. I mean, ultimately, we're probably going to be selling the player.
But when you go out on loan as well, I think players need to, especially the younger players, they need to remember that they are still representing Arsenal. They're still ambassadors for Arsenal. So if you're turning up late, leaving early, calling in sick, not applying yourself, it's not also a bad reflection on you as an individual. It's a bad reflection on Arsenal. And you don't want other, coaching staff and other places going, well, do we really want to get any more players from Arsenal? Jesus, what's going on over there?
Yeah. Talking about Tavares caused me to look into Reims as well with Balogun. He played today, did not score, but his team won 3-0, and they're up in
an
this.
assist, really
He got an
nice. I believe
assist,
it was. I think it was really. He is contributing, and we've never heard. I don't believe we've heard these thought process, these questions about the way the way he's the coach having to reprimand him and stuff like that.
No, he's doing great. Yeah, assist for the second goal. They're up in the 7th place in the French league, so not doing too bad at all. Bring back to Xhaka real quick before we get out of here in a few minutes. As players get older, they normally play a position further back in midfield, go to defense, etc. But oddly, Granit Xhaka is going further forward. Very peculiar but effective, and it has been kind of a revelation for this season, where Mikel Arteta had sat him down and said, I'm going to get somebody to play that left 8 if you don't do it well enough this season.
Well, it's also permeated into his international team for Switzerland because he's playing as a 10 for them.
Yeah.
So it's working. That the coaching staff at Switzerland have seen that and thought, well, why are we going to bring him in and play him as a 6? Look what he's doing as a 10. We'll do that.
Yeah. Gary?
I was going to change gears there a little bit because I wasn't following the conversation. Were we talking? Who are you talking about just there?
It's very open right now, so you can change gears.
What I was going to, I saw a comment there about we were talking about Balogun, and I heard Southgate say, he should hold off and wait until he's playing in the Premier League to see if he's a good candidate for the English national team. And I'm like, really? He's like, I believe we always thought, he actually said it, I believe in an interview, that's what he's waiting to see. And I'm like, is that what it requires, that you actually have to play in the Premier League to be on the English national team? Because that's not true, right?
Unless your name's Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be one of the top young prospects in the world, or else you're not. Like, what does Balogun have to do more than he's already done for you to go? He might. We don't. What striker do we have behind Harry Kane right now?
No, none. Exactly. Not very many.
You have to think about it. And
Wilson, maybe.
No. But you don't have a player who's contributing like Balogun is in the league he's in.
No.
And leading the league at one point, and then go, well, he needs to play in the Premier League first. And it's like, well, when you play internationally, you're not playing a Premier League style. So why would it matter? You know what I mean? If these international teams are winning World Cups playing outside the Premier League with some of their players, why does England have to be one of the top priorities, is that you actually play in the Premier League, when you look at all the other international teams, and predominantly most of their players do not play in the Premier League, right? Like France's team do not play in the Premier League, but they do have some. But you need to do that to play in the England squad. That makes no sense.
That's
right.
The
reason why I bring it up is why should he wait for England to decide, when I think if he were to come to America or go to Nigeria, they would give him whatever he needs. They would give him what they would be like, let's go and they'll build things either around him or, give him those things. They don't need to give him too much, but if they probably would play him. Right.
I actually think he will end up in the US in the next World Cup. That's my thoughts on him. Daniel, I got you on Fabio Vieira here. I thought he was disappointing against Sporting, was overpowered a few times. He has the ability. but ain't ready for Arsenal for me at this moment in time. Maybe next
This is what
season,
I don't get.
Fabio
How
Vieira
can he
will
be
keep on.
overpowered, right, playing against Sporting when he used to play against Sporting every week for Porto? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's playing against a team that is a league that he was successful in. Probably knows all of the players by name. Probably has them in his phone. But yet he looked off the boil against that particular side.
Well, I think he was part of an overall larger part of the team that wasn't performing well in the Europa League for both legs. And we've talked about it already today. Holding didn't look great in a bad setup last season, particularly at Spurs at their place. Xhaka didn't look good in past seasons in a team that's struggling, but now these players can shine because they have the parts around them that are working. And we see it now. We're at top of the pile. You know, we're looking down at the carnage of Man United going to Newcastle and losing 2-0. That was us last season. And we have tests coming up in these 9 games that we need to pass also, you know. Does that answer your question, Stan?
A little bit.
Okay. What I thought was funny with Granit Xhaka, he scored that goal, a great header. He ghosted in, Stan, Erdegaard's cross. I was tickled pink because you see Emile Smith-Rowe and Kieran Tierney on the sideline waiting to come on, and they're like clapping, but like having a little chuckle to themselves about Granit Xhaka scoring a header, I suppose. I don't know exactly what they were thinking.
Well, and the question is, why is he in that position? Now think about it. When you draw up a play and you say, all right, we're gonna go and attack, we're gonna cross in. I don't think you ever go, well, you know what? It's gonna be Xhaka going through the middle, all by nobody else in the middle of the goal, right in front of the goal, going in for this one.
Is he showing growth this season, an elevated understanding of the tactics and the way we play?
If you look at the way we set up the goal, there's a lot of we get into that area where we've got a lot of players in and around the penalty area, and there's a lot of short passing going on, and players are moving all around and not staying in their natural positions. And what we're doing now is we're dragging opposition around and creating spaces, and then you're finding a player like Xhaka is the one that's getting on the end of the move instead of like an
Erdegaard can find them as well, Stan.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
in point, he can put it on a plate for nearly anybody, can't he?
We have a great combination of players who can score and also creative players like Erdegaard and maybe Trossard who can find these players. So I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk about the continuing redemption of Granit Xhaka, you know. But let's switch gears a little bit to Gabriel Jesus. Gary, nerves of steel to score that penalty on his comeback?
I think he's probably been itching to get into that type of situation again. I mean, he's been sitting around and watching us do all this stuff without him. You know, there's like, I mean, I like, as somebody said, I like the way that Erdegaard was holding on to the ball like he was going to take it, when probably in reality it was always going to be Jesus. I mean, he worked hard to get there in that situation. I mean, he's been putting himself in really good scoring chances since he's come back. And it was just a matter of time. And the more minutes he gets, the more opportunities he's going to have. And that's what he did. He drew the card, drew the penalty, and said, "I'm going to take it." He deserved. You know, I think he worked for it. He deserved it. The more he plays, you know, the more comfortable he'll get out there, and as long as he's not taken away from everybody else, I think we'll be fine. And I think he himself opens up the game for us anyway. So we're gonna have more opportunities to score, hopefully, as he gets more comfortable up there. Because the one thing that he does is he will come back for the ball all over the pitch, right? Every time you look around, you're like, wait, who's that? Oh, it's Jesus, right? He's coming, he's coming back to the back line if he has to get the ball, because he just wants to be part of whatever's going on.
He done that slide, didn't he? Right at the back of our area, and slid and kept the ball in play. And I was like, who's that? And it's like, that's our striker.
Did he?
In our penalty box.
So he wants to be part of the game, and he will also want to be at the end of the pass that goes in too, which is what we need, right? Because sometimes in a game we get a little stale, and he'll come back and then start an attack that gets us into the box, and he wants to be in the box as well, right? So I think it's good to have him there, and like I don't think for us anyways there's not that many players that to give us that type of skills and performances and stuff like that. So I'm enjoying having him back. And I think he's just going to only get, as you said, that 5 goals that he needs to get. He's got 3 now in like 9 matches. I mean, I think he'll,
3 to go.
He's got 3 to go in like 9 matches.
Well, we want more. We want more, but he's got 3 to
we
go.
definitely want. I mean, it'd be nice to get 20 goal contributions by the end of the day, based on what he's doing right now, which will double his count. So yeah, Jesus is back, and it's not even Easter, man.
Yeah, definitely. Stan, I saw something on Twitter. Odegaard holds the ball so that eventually he can give it to Jesus and share him coming back, much like Aubameyang and Lacazette. Harry Kane holds the ball. He doesn't give it to Richarlison. He wants to score himself. Maybe that's the difference between the two clubs.
I'd like to know a little bit more about that, because if Saka had been on the pitch when we got a penalty, he's usually our number 1 penalty taker.
Yeah,
but I wonder if it was a case that Martin Odegaard, he can also put them away, can't he? He's good from a dead ball situation. So I wonder if he's taken the ball, and as everyone's getting into position, I wonder if he thought to himself, "Fuck it, I'm going to give it to Jesus. Let him get on the board. Let him get himself on the board, because it will help us." I wonder if that was purely from him. And Jesus was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take it. Fine." Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't planned. And if that's the case, you've got to take your hat off to Martin Odegaard for being able to think that laterally.
Yeah,
as a proper captain, he's not thinking of himself; he's thinking of the team. If that's the case, and he's thinking to himself, "Well, let's get Jesus up and firing, because we're going to need him to make more contributions in the next 9 games." And after he scores the penalty, he scores one from open play.
Yeah. Lovely play from Trossard. Lovely play from Trossard to Jink inside, cut back again toward the byline and cut the ball back. And a typical Gabriel Jesus finish. He's piling into the 6-yard box, and he gets on the end of it.
Because I was worried when he missed the header. I was like, oh.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And we had 0-0. He missed the header. Here we go again. The narrative is going to be Gabriel Jesus having chances but not putting them away.
Because when he scored the penalty, I was sitting there watching. I was going, "Okay, yeah, great." Because we were talking about can he get at least 5 goals in the next 10 games?
Yeah.
So when he got the penalty, I'm like, "Okay, great." But then another voice said, "Yeah, but it's not from open play, Stan." And I was like, "That penalty good," and then he goes and scores one from open play, and then my other voice said, "Now you shut up." The 2 voices were arguing with each other in my head.
Like stands on your shoulders, like good stand, bad stand.
One with wings.
And then you're wondering, Gary, is there a predetermined nominated penalty taker? How are they going to work?
I think in that, even no matter what in that situation, Jesus was probably going to take it. You know what I mean? Like, the man hasn't scored a goal since like October or September. Who knows when he scored a goal last, right?
October.
So he probably was. He's like, I work for this. It's like when Saka worked for that penalty, right? Like he grabbed that ball. He was not giving that ball up. I don't know who was supposed to take it, but at that point he said, Nah, I did all the work for this. I'm gonna take it well. So for me, I don't care. I think Jesus deserved to take that one, much less whether he was supposed to. But because we need it as a squad, we need him feeling comfortable out there as well.
And you saw his last goal, Gary. It was at the North London Derby.
Oh, is that? Oh, man. Wow, yes, I did see that. Wow, I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah.
I saw somebody asked the question about if any of us are going to be in London for the Wolves game. Well, one, I probably, if I did come, I'm not going to that game because I can't afford it. It costs me more to go to that game than it will to fly there. But I'm not sure if I will make it because it's like I got a couple graduations and stuff going on, so it's going to be tough. But I do want to be there. I would be there.
I would like to go as well, but how difficult is it to get a ticket? You know what I mean?
The secondary market is over. There are 1,000 at least.
No.
So my answer to that is, if you want to pay for my flights, get me a ticket and put me up.
I'm there.
I'm happy to darken your door.
Ready? You're the first one to offer. Thank you,
Personally,
bud.
I would like to be there. I want to see the buses
yeah.
go down the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I,
Even
don't-
for that.
I don't think it costs money to do that. You know what I mean? I don't have to buy a ticket for like
So
$1,000 to go see a bus drive down the street with some
I
players on it celebrating.
I'm in the situation of waiting for my passport to come
Mhm.
because my passport expired and I had to renew it in recent weeks. So
Mhm.
yeah, it could well be toward the end of May. Who knows? We'll wait and see. Gary, just Stan was speaking about Jesus' second goal. Trossard assists Jesus for the second goal.
Yeah.
And nice finish from Jesus.
Yeah.
And here we are, 7 goals for him in the league. Wasn't the best penalty, but who cares? Yeah, he rolled it down the center. Does anyone think we need an out-and-out goal scorer in the squad for a variation for some games, or are we okay with the squad as it is? I think we've been lucky personally this season. We've had Jesus, we've had Hydra, Jesus, and
Well, no,
Kedia.
think
And
about it.
Trossard.
We've always talked about City not having a striker and it being all right. And we are in the same situation. But would it be nice to have a striker, some similar? Not maybe there's probably only one Haaland out there, but
Mhm.
close to like a Haaland type striker. It would be nice for us to have one of those because we will put crosses in, and it'd be nice
Could
to have it.
Balogun
Be nice to have
be
every
that player as
cross.
well? You know.
Well, I would say yes already. I don't need to even think about it. Yeah, he's
Mhm.
different. He's different than the strikers we have, and he will put himself in that situation where he can get into the box, and I believe he's stronger than like the strikers that we have in terms of in the air and all of that. So yeah, I mean,
Right.
I just like to if his name was some other name and it wasn't a player from Arsenal, would we be looking at a player in his 21, 22 and go, well, like we're looking at Awesome and going, well, he's the finished product,
Mhm.
and Balogun is, well, you know what, we can mold him to fit our needs, right? Well,
Mhm.
he's our player, so we don't need to mold him. we all
No
we need to just
brainer.
mold him to fit our needs, and we don't need to
Yeah.
pay for him. We already we're doing that. So for me, you would go and get that, and if you could still get an Osman, fine, because then now you've got all the answers you need in your attack, right?
Yeah.
Like think if you got an
Um,
Osman and a Balogun, we're not talking about well who's going to play what, where, and how, right? Because Trossard can back up Saka, so we're done, right? So
I,
Jesus can back up Martinelli if he had to, so we're fine. And in the middle, you got three answers there, 4 answers if Nketiah stays.
don't
But
listen. Yeah, don't listen to Twitter. I've seen Twitter talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. No, I'm sorry, that boat is past. Forget about it. A couple of quick answers. We're going to get out of here in 2 minutes, right?
okay.
Gary, what's the result at Anfield on Sunday? I think Brady was asking.
Like I said, we're confident going in there. It's not gonna be easy because it's Anfield, but I'd like to see us come out and smack them in the mouth early and get it. I've been asking for that for a while. Why not this time around? I'm gonna go 2-1 just because I don't think it will be. It's gonna be tough, but I'm saying 2-1, but I can see 2-0 Arsenal or 0-2 Arsenal easy
Yeah.
because of the way we've been playing and the struggles that they've had. So we need to get a win. I just think we need to get a win. We need to get a win either at Anfield or at Etihad this season. Is what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We need
Yep.
to get 2 wins out of the 3 that we have on the road against the top top teams that we're playing. Right. So in Newcastle, I think we can do that. It's going to be tough, but all 3 are going to be tough. But Newcastle would be like what, the second or third? Sorry, the third.
The third
Third
is
easiest. Would be the easiest one of the 3 to get a win at. But we need to get. I think we need to get a win at the other 2. One of the other 2. So Liverpool would be the next one on that list. So yeah,
we can go into more detail on Thursday night as well. But Stan, I think similar to Gary, 2-1. We may concede a goal, but I think we won't score as much. But I think we have 2 goals in us at Anfield as well. What do you think?
I think we've definitely got goals about us in this team. But I think if you want to get a result at Anfield, you've got to score early and shut up the home crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to shut up the 12th man at Anfield. If you can stun them with an early goal, that gives us more of an opportunity to play our game for as long as we can in the 90 minutes, is to be able to play our game and not be counter-reacting to what Liverpool are doing.
Yeah, definitely. Also, stay with you, Stan. Who's going to be your nominations for Tony Donwan Man of the Match?
Of the last game,
This one here, yeah. Jesus, Trossard, Erdegaard, Ben White. Lots of nominations. Lots of nominees.
I quite like Trossard.
Okay.
Again, playing this time on the right-hand side, which was his starting place, and he was still able to be effective. So I'll probably... There's a lot of candidates for this one. There's no sort of like one person that I think is head and shoulders above everybody. Yep. So I'm going to pick Trossard.
It's a symptom of having a good team that you have a lot of good performances. Trossard. Yep. It's really easy to give it to Gabriel Jesus after the comeback, so I'm going to nominate Gabriel Jesus. I like Trossard. You know what
That's a fair shout, yeah, as well. Two goals on his comeback, Trow.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah. Now I heard somebody say Xhaka was the player or the man of the match. I did, like I said, I don't notice him enough to go, yeah, that's the one for me. But I did hear that name come up as playing the best. I think it was Rohan on Twitter who said that. He looks at the game a little bit differently than I do, for sure. But for me, it was always going to be Jesus with the brace. So we need to see him come back. We need to see him scoring. And and if you just look at the way that we played, like I said, that front three interchanged on every position they did, and that's something you get with a Jesus who's playing pretty well. So, yeah, Jesus for me.
These stats here were before Jesus came back yesterday, but it just shows the contributions we've had from Jesus, Trossard, and even Eddie Nketiah. You know, he's kept things moving along as well.
Yep.
So yeah, Gabriel Jesus gets it. All right, we're going to be out of here. Thanks. Unless either of you have anything quick to announce or say, check out.
I'll do very quickly.
Nelson,
very quickly. WrestleMania Part 2 is on today, and if you like a little bit of wrestling, and tune into Mr. Tom, Tony, Alonso, maybe myself if I can get a ghetto pass issued from the missus to let me out for a second day on the run. But we'll be doing a watch along of the second part of WrestleMania if anybody is interested. So look out for Twitter for the times. But it'll be about 5 o'clock Pacific time, something like that. 7 o'clock Eastern time, something like that.
8. Did your clocks change
8
recently? 8 p.m. Eastern then.
Just check Twitter then for the tweet when it goes out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And
tomorrow we'll have the
trip.
The trip will be back on tomorrow, so we'll be talking about the game and all of that. So check us out tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast and 12:30 a.m. Across the pond.
Gary and Stan, we deserve this. You know, we've had hard times with Arsenal. We deserve talking about good times and wins. 7 in a row now. You know, City. If City did this, people will be talking about it. Here goes City again.
I think the stat is this is the first 7-game winning streak in the league this season. Yeah. So
we're doing
things. You know, it's not. Well, you know what? City is playing poorly, and that's why Arsenal's looking good. No, we are playing really good, and this isn't all about City playing poorly. We are playing well as well, and you can look at any of City's past seasons. You can see games where they got lucky, and I think it's part of the game. So calls went their way. Some will say more than often. So, but I think we're being consistent with the way we've been playing, and that's why we sit where we are.
All right, we'll leave it there. Check out Gary tomorrow night. It's good talking about Arsenal. Stan, go back to the missus, spend a few hours with her. She might give you that pass for later this evening for the full Nelson. Who knows? If you spend some quality time, Stan, that could happen. All right, we're out of here. Yes, you do. It's incumbent upon you. We're out of here. Thanks for your time, you two, and Alonso. Hey, I hope Martin Truex wins the race as well. We're out of here. We'll see you on Thursday Night Forum. Come on, you Gooners. 9 to go, right? Let's do it.